All right. Shalom, shalom, everybody. We are live. We are live. Thumb up the video, everybody, and share the live stream. Thumb up the video and share the live stream because we're gonna have a little fun this evening. I don't typically go live around this time, but I thought it would be pretty dope to go live right about now. In lieu and in light of everything that has been going on with this particular topic, I decided to open up shop this evening to have this conversation. So please, by all means, everybody, please, by all means, throw up the video, share the live stream, and let's get it in, man. Let's get it in. I want to add some critique. I got an opportunity to go over the full video and what was said after I left, and I want to critique live a number of things that was mentioned. Right, I want to critique live a number of things that was mentioned. So by all means, everybody, as soon as you can, thumb up the video and share the live stream because this is definitely going to be a very interesting video. Having said that, just allow me a couple of moments to kind of share this as well. I don't typically go live this late, so a lot of people may not even know that I'm live. And so let me say shout out to Ya Asantiwa. I see you. Shamiwala, I see you. I see you. Who else we got in the building? I see you. I know there's a lot more people that will be coming as soon as they realize that we're actually live right now. Let me take away some of this stuff. So the more people that realize that we're live, the more people's going to jump in. And this is also why I say to everybody, make sure you hit the notification bell. Right, make sure y'all hit the notification bell because there's a lot of people that is subscribed to my channel, but they have not hit that notification bell. That notification bell alerts you and lets you know when I'm live. One thing about me, I'm unpredictable. That's always for sure. You never know when I'm going to be live. You never know when I'm going to be live. So make sure, everybody, that you hit that notification bell. That way you know when I'm going live. Having said that, I want to just open up this discussion by furthering and continuing where we left off earlier. So where we left off earlier, I pretty much landed with my overall general point. There are some very specific things I still want to say, and the greater part of what I have to say, I still have yet to show. But I've shown enough to create conversation. I showed enough to get a debate ensuing, right? And I know what I'm doing. Having said that, what I thought was significant, let me add another spotlight. My background is kind of dark. Hold on one moment. There we go. There we go. Just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. All right. So having said that, by the way, how's my sound? If you guys can hear me clear, type of one in the room. Type of one in the room if you guys can hear my sound. If I'm sounding clear, type of one in the room, right? I'm going to give a quick recap of what I went through earlier. So earlier, I revisited the conversation that I had with Jabari, which was in the form of a question. And my question to Jabari was, when does Kemet become a civilization? What are we looking at to determine that ancient Kemet or ancient Egypt is a civilization? And what are the hallmarks of civilization? As we all saw, Jabari failed miserably, terribly in attempting to answer those questions. I further reviewed the full video after I left. And I was able to see that not only did Jabari continue making errors and even blatant incorrect statements, because I know he's smarter than some of the things he said. So that means it's blatant. And at that point, if it's a blatant mistake, we usually call that a lie. There were other people that joined on. One person joined on to disagree with him. Another person joined on to pretty much agree with him because this person is growing to not like me as well lately as well. And that's okay. Shout out to Brother Reggie. And so I'm going to play a couple of moments from the dialogue where it picks up when I left. And attempt to just kind of, reimagine and put together, what it was that they were trying to hone in on from the time that I left. Right. And in order to do that, we played a video. So allow me to do just that. Now I have 3 different videos set up because there's 3 different timestamps that I want to play. So I'm going to go with this one. You guys should be able to see my screen in a couple of moments. There we go. There we go. As always, family, thumb up the video and share the live stream because I'm hoping to make this quite a spectacular live stream, to say the least bit. So here we go.
Paul, that I definitely need. This is shit, but she got it. She got it. Nepal got this, but this is topic. Nobody messing with with this. We got in the building as well. So, what's happening, What do you think about what you're hearing, man?
Yeah, they
how long have you been listening?
Just about the whole thing. They both of them playing though. They gotta kind of they gotta.
Be careful, man.
No,
what you asked for,
relax.
brother.
Don't start that. I just want to be able to have a conversation
ahead, brother.
without that, right? And I'm just saying there has to be a certain level of upgrading, right? Jabari, here's a book for you. Go. I know you got this, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so if you go to page 5, it tell you don't even fall into the trap of what civilization and civilized is. It's subjective. It's not based.
But Ankh, it's not a trap. I said that. The first thing I said is,
hold on, Jabari. Okay, relax. The point
I'm not upset. Listen, wait.
Oh, I'm saying, let me.
So I want to make a point from the outset when I say that I watched this dialogue between Ankh and Jabari a couple of times, and the first thing that I noticed is that Ankh jumps on to critique Jabari, and he told Jabari essentially it's a trap to give in to the topic and even discuss, what is the criteria in the hallmarks of civilization because it's subjective. And then, of course, Jabari shares why he disagrees, but then he says some things that are, minorly offensive to Brother Ankh's ego. And at that point, Ankh stops holding back and just goes straight for the jugular and tells him that he's not really doing a good job of debating with Zion Lexx because you out here looking like you're struggling to have this debate with Zion Lexx, which is essentially pointing towards the poor way in which Jabari attempted to respond to my questions. He did a very poor job. To the extent that even someone who dislikes Hebrew culture and Hebrews in general, Brother Ankh, had to come on and tell him that there were several things that Jabari said that was wrong. So we're just going to replay that and so everybody can hear it. Check this out.
Okay, brother, but you said don't fall into the trap. That's
right.
all.
You struggled back and forth. You didn't even have to. So
go ahead. Say what you said. Say what you're saying.
I just think it's important, though,
right,
that 2023 we start to understand that when we talk of Sumer and Egypt and all that, that we can clearly see before 3100 or 3200 BCE that there was people doing a thing successfully without all the European analysts trying to analyze back in the 60s and the 40s and all that. So yeah, you can go to the area of what they call in Western Asia, Mesopotamia, or Sumer, Northern Land, whatever, and you can find not cities, but you can find villages. And the reason you can find villages because they got these mounds. Now, what are these mounds? These mounds are actually villages built on top of villages.
So Ankh, desperately trying to help Jabari, he even says some things that are wrong, to which I openly challenge Brother Ankh to debate me on the topic of civilization and which civilization comes first, whether it's Kemet or whether it's Sumer. I openly challenge you, Ankh, on this topic because respectfully, you got some things wrong as well. I'm not here to rub or stroke anyone's ego. I'm here for truth. So there were some things that Ankh got wrong. He attempted to ensue that the beginnings of Sumerian civilization do not demonstrate cities in the way in which we know the archaic cities of antiquity to look when we compare and contrast them against one another. He says that the cities that were built by the Sumerians were more like mounds. At one point, he said it looks like one big football field built on top of another, which is really silly when you are, when you're palpable and tangible with the sources and you know what the Sumerians built. It's really silly to say some of the things that he's saying, but we're going to allow him to say these things because I'm really just trying to get to the point where he just outright critiques Jabari. But to Brother Ankh, I also want to say to you, whenever you are ready, I openly challenge you to have this debate with me on the origins of civilization, whether it be Kemet or Sumer. The ball is in your court whenever you're ready. I'm ready now, by the way. Whenever you're ready, as we continue.
One village goes out, another village build a village on top of it. And you find these mounds all over the place, like big, giant football fields, right? Big mounds, right? Now, when these same people that were spending the money to study over that area, European area, right? They took the same cookie cutter model and they brought it to Africa.
Right.
And they didn't see that. So they automatically say, well, this is older over here because we see these towns, these cities, right? But we don't see them in Africa. Right. Now, what we realize in 2023, that the cookie cutting model does not work for the Nile Valley, does not work for Africa, because they didn't have villages. Let me finish the bar. They didn't have villages.
But I'm not going to let you go too long. Remember that.
So I'll even stop here just to point this out. Jabari really has no self-control when it comes to having a conversation and allowing other people to speak. Like, Brother Ankh just joined the show. Sure, he's going to begin by offering Jabari some help because he has expertise in the area. Whether or not his help is authentic or valid is an altogether different situation. But to not allow him to speak after he's only been speaking for about 2-3 minutes, to cut him off while he's speaking and tell him that it's essentially your show and you're not going to allow him too much time. At this point, I'm wondering, why do people listen to individuals like this, right? How do we have a dialogue with a person that literally has no self-control to allow other people to speak? Almost as if the person is saying, no one other than me has anything significant to say, so no one other than me should take full, measure of the time being used. I should be the one that speaks the most. That's literally how he acts, which is silly. And it's egotistical, and it's a testimony to why he fails. One thing about scholarship, if you don't approach it with a measure and degree of humility, sure, you'll learn some things, but so many things will evade and escape you because humility is a precursor of wisdom, and without humility, you can't really learn, right? Humility is the ability to listen to other people thoroughly before you want or envisage to inject your views. So you'll notice that the same thing he accuses me of, cutting him off, which is the very same thing me doing to Ankh. So this is called a pattern, by the way, right? We're talking about patterns of behavior. So let's continue.
This is the show that I'm on.
Okay, so I ain't been. I got my own clock, yo. I know not to go with you.
No. What I'm saying is that the show has two people in it. It's Zion and Jabari. And so I'm trying to let you go, but I don't want you to go too long because I want to respond.
So I was only I ain't been a minute yet though. Do I don't get a minute?
That's more than a minute, brother. Stop it.
It actually wasn't. No, it actually wasn't. Yo, you jumpy. So I'll do my own thing. I'm good. I'm straight. I don't gotta say no more, yo. I'm straight.
I want to say to you that what you started with the discussion with, I did say. I said that there is.
You were just trying to get back to that. You ain't want to hear what I was saying. You want to get back to what you thought you said.
I was
watching you struggle with it.
No, what you said was good. I agree with what you said. But what I'm saying to you,
you shouldn't struggle with a Hebrew, yo.
Brother, I'm not struggling with him. Yeah. What ends up happening, brother, is someone calls you for a presentation and you start for a conversation, and then he brings out 30 slides. Discussion with, I did say. I said that there is.
You were just trying to get back to that.
I just wanted to kind of rewind it back so everybody could hear that Ankh essentially tells him that, you were struggling with the Hebrew. It's a very disparaging comment and remark, but nonetheless, it actually is shining light on Jabari, because what he's essentially trying to say to Jabari is, your scholarship is so weak that you can't have a conversation with a Hebrew. And why would you be struggling with the Hebrew? Right? So I wasn't pointing anything out that was incorrect when I was continually saying that even the chat, even the live chat was literally saying that Jabari was stalling, Jabari was unprepared. And when I pointed it out, Jabari said I was making that up. And how do I know who's saying it? Now, Brother Ankh, who is pro Kemet as well, gets on a live stream and tells Jabari to his face that you were struggling. Making it up? Or Jabari, do you have to acknowledge that you were struggling? Here we go.
You want to hear what I was saying. You want to get back to what you thought you said.
I was
there and watched you struggle with
no, what you said was good. I agree with what you said. But what I'm saying to you,
our sister said Jabari has a fear of slides. He definitely does when it comes to debating me. You know, I always tell people one thing about a debate can be hard or it can be easy. I don't think that it's ever an in-between. A debate can be hard or a debate can be easy. What makes a debate hard is when you have two opponents of similar skill set and they're going all the way in with those skill sets. That's what can make a debate hard. What makes a debate easy is an opponent or a debater's ability to essentially ask the right questions and provide enough resources and sources that validate your overall viewpoint. Debate just by one's intelligent ability to ask the right questions. If you ask all the right questions, you can essentially win a debate. Most people think a debate is won by showing sources and knowing a lot of information. But people who are really seasoned when it comes to debates, we know that debates are won not from the responses alone, but from the questions. If you ask the right questions, if you pin a person down and force them to answer very specific questions, at that point, the debate is already in the favor of the person asking the right questions. So Jabari has a fear of slides and presentation when it comes to me because, number one, I'm going to start the debate off with very, very straightforward questions that force him to the points I'm making. And if he fails to even give an answer, then the obvious is obvious, right? Which is the notion that he can't answer, he will not respond because the answer or respond would concede to the very point that I'm making, which is what everybody witnessed him doing. So here we go.
You shouldn't struggle with a Hebrew, yo.
brother, I'm not struggling with him. Yeah. What ends up happening, brother, what ends up happening is someone calls you for a presentation and you start a present.
Not Jabari crying on live TV and saying, I'm not struggling with him, brother. You know, what happened was, I'm from a hood that we say things like, when a dude got to tell you, when a person got to tell you, when they got to start off a story saying, what had happened was, you already know that person about to tell you a whole lie. I'm going to say that again. In the hood, we have a saying, when somebody starts off a story telling and saying, what had happened was, we already know they're about to go into lion mode. So let's listen to Brother Jabari save face and attempt to go into lion mode. Check it out.
No, what you said was good. I agree with what you said. But what I'm saying to you,
you shouldn't struggle with a Hebrew, yo.
Brother, I'm not struggling with him. Yeah. What ends up happening, brother, what ends up happening is someone calls you for a presentation and you start for a conversation, and then he brings out 30 slides and he says things that are wrong, and then he keeps interrupting you. The only thing that I have been struggling with is the fact that I'm trying to be polite to someone who is not following the standard rules. I started the conversation by saying there is no definitive answer for what is civilization. That's how I started. The same thing you just said. And then I said, here are some of the things that.
So he said that he started off the conversation saying there is no definitive answer for what is a civilization. This is like really crazy. Let me, towards that point, I should probably pull up my PowerPoint, just if not, but for a second, just for a moment, right? Because as I said, this is a critique on that video because when I left that dialogue, I didn't go back to watch what they were saying. I did go back after later on, and I checked out some of what they said, and today is when I really had a chance to really go through with a fine-tooth comb exactly what they had to say. I just want to know what it is that they're saying. And in doing so, boy, oh boy, was I let down, because it was just silly commentary after silly commentary, infamously and typically from Jabari. Like, it was just really silly, a lot of the things that he was saying. So I just want to point out some things, because he says that there is no definitive answer for what a civilization consists of or what a civilization is, right? I just want everybody to know that. That's what he says. And I just think that that's really silly to say. But I'm not just going to say it's silly to say. I'm going to show you guys. So I'm just emailing myself one part of the slide that I was going to show, so that everybody here can see what civilization consists of, and more importantly, why it is that the things that Jabari was saying is just completely ludicrous and, I'm gonna say, out of control. I don't know how else to frame that. I'm just gonna say it's out of control at this point. And some of the things that he's being allowed to say on what we can construe as a scholarly platform, right? So give me a second, y'all. I want to make sure everybody can see what I'm about to show. All right, good. That came up quick. You guys should see my news screen in about 25 seconds or less. And when you're able to do so, we're going to go full throttle. Just give me a second. Okay. Excellent. And here we go. All right. And let me see. Everybody can see that. Let me blow it up some more. There we go. Is that nice? There we go. Jabari said, in talking with Brother Ankh, he said there's no definitive way. He said there's no definitive way to answer what a civilization is. There's no definitive way. Apparently, Jabari is the only scholar that believes or thinks that, because I want everybody to look at my screen. Most scholars speak of 8 features or 8 critical characteristics and hallmarks of what we call civilization. So I want everybody to just go through the list with me. In order to have a civilization, you need arts and architecture, writing, cities, well-organized government, an established religion, job specialization, social classes, right? The division of labor and social classes, public works, and arts and architecture. I'm going to add a 9th one, which is the most important one that should have been here, and that is agriculture, right? Agriculture allowed for a sedentary society, right? Sedentary society, just matter of fact, I'm keen on definition, so let me pull this up live so everybody can see, because I used the term earlier, but not everybody is familiar with the term. So let me give you Oxford's dictionary definition of sedentary really quick. Just give me a quick second to pull that up. All right. All right, let me just briefly unshare that for a moment, because I want to share this new screen with you guys. Okay. What agriculture allowed for is what we call a sedentary civilization, right? A sedentary civilization or a sedentary society is what led to what we're calling civilization. Before agriculture, human beings were hunter-gatherers, never staying too long in any one place. They were hunter-gatherers. With the innovation and advancement of agriculture, with the founding of agriculture, what that created for agriculture was the ability for people to no longer live as nomads, moving from place to place, hunting game, right? Day to day, right? Our ability to eat every day is based on the chase and the hunt for animal game, right? For food. No, what agriculture allowed for is now we can crop, now we can plant, now we can harvest, right? Now we can cultivate seeds. Now we can stay in one area, right? And in staying in one area, we can now develop all of the hallmarks of what becomes civilization. So agriculture created or led to what's called a sedentary society. Sedentary literally means to stay in one place or to sit down, not to move, right? To stay in one place, to sit down and not to move. That's a sedentary society. And that's what agriculture gave us. So agriculture is actually the cornerstone of civilization. It's the most important element, right, for what becomes civilization, because agriculture is what allowed for civilization to exist. Which is going to be interesting in a couple of moments, because you're literally going to hear Ankh say agriculture is not necessary for civilization, which is just insane, because any academic scholar will tell you that without agriculture, you literally don't have any civilization. Agriculture is what allows for a civilization, right? That's very important. So there are certainly several features of civilization. So to say that there's no definitive way to say what a civilization is, that's just Jabari avoiding the fact that he doesn't know what a civilization is. And he's up here to define what a civilization is, right? He's choosing what I'm going to call is the easy way out, because he doesn't know what a civilization is. He's going to give every reason for why we don't need to describe civilization definitively. So here we go. Okay, I'm gonna put the live link in the chat, because if there's anybody that's familiar with this topic, join the live stream, right? I'm gonna put the live link in the chat, because if there's anybody in here that's familiar with what civilization consists of, join the live stream. I'm gonna ask moderators, if you can, just continue to reshare that link throughout the course of this live stream. I would like for anybody to join us that knows what civilization is, that knows what culture is, and has some knowledge of the beginnings of Kemet and the beginnings of Sumer. But more importantly, someone who knows what a civilization is versus culture. The only thing that I ask, as I always ask, make sure if you come on that you're showing your face. So again, moderators, if you can, please just reshare that link throughout the course of this live stream and let people know this is the link to join us live. And here we go.
So I did that. He tried to say I didn't answer the question. I answered the question several times. So that's what happened. And then the civilization, he did that. And then on his own slide, the group that he's calling a civilization, the source calls them a culture. I mean, that's what happened here. So you said,
I mean, at this point, I should just play back what he said and then checkmate him live in front of y'all, right? So that's what we're going to do. He said, and I'm going to just replay it again. He said Zion by calling a civilization something that is born out of a culture, right? Because I don't know what a culture is versus civilization is. I'm flim-flamming, he says. I want everybody to hear his words verbatim, and then I'm going to respond with a PowerPoint slide, just one slide for that point. So here we go.
Answer for what is civilization. That's how I started. The same thing you just said. And then I said, here are some of the things that some people describe as part of civilization. So I did that. He tried to say I didn't answer the question. I answered the question several times. So that's what happened. And then he tried to flim-flam on the idea of a culture not being a civilization. He did that. And then
so everybody heard him loud and clear. He said, I flim-flammed on the idea of a culture not being a civilization. He called that a flim-flam. Jabari Osaze, professor, I don't know what he's a professor of at this point, but a professor Jabari Osaze believes that a person that believes that there's a difference between culture and civilization, they're flim-flamming, because apparently Jabari thinks they're the same thing, right? And just in case anybody's thinking that I'm twisting his words, I'm going to play that one more time, just so we're clear on exactly what he said, and then I'm going to show you why he...
As part of civilization. So I did that. He tried to say I didn't answer the question, I answered the question several times. So that's what happened. And then he tried to flim-flam on the idea of a culture not being a civilization. He did that.
So we all heard him in saying that I flim-flammed on the idea of culture not being a civilization, because Jabari apparently thinks that cultures are civilizations. God damn, this is probably one of the easiest checkmates I ever had to give out. I want everybody to take a look at what I'm going to call Exhibit A. This is embarrassing, because this guy is teaching at a university somewhere. What university is allowing this guy to teach? This is insane. Like, this is actually insane. Jabari thinks it's a flim-flam to want to see between culture and civilization. So I'm just going to ask real quick. Can everybody see my screen? Let me take down the comment. If you guys can see my screen, type a 1 in the room as I go in. If you guys can see my screen, type a 1 in the room as I go in. This is crazy. Like, this is really crazy. Jabari thinks it's a flim-flam to make a difference between culture and civilization, because in Jabari's, any basic person with a basic high school diploma or a college degree or some academic understanding of history and civilization and culture knows that while it is possible and plausible to have civilization, right? Civilization has culture within it. Culture doesn't have civilization. You can have civilization with culture, right? It's impossible to have a civilization and not have a culture. But culture exists even without civilization, because culture precedes civilization. So I'm going to read from the screen really quick, and I just want everybody to hone in with me. What is culture? Culture includes religion, art, philosophy, literature, music, dance, etc. It has no standard of measurement, cannot be said to be advancing, is internal and end. All societies have culture. Culture is what? Earlier. Culture is what? Earlier. And I want everybody to just look to the right. What is civilization? Later. What is civilization? Later. Guys, everybody, what is civilization? Later.
All right. It's your brother Zion Lexx. Sign up for our online academy, which is Learn Torah Hebrew Academy at patreon.com/Learn Torah. There are several classes that we offer. We offer a Biblical Hebrew 101 class for beginners. We have a Biblical Hebrew 102 class for people who are a little bit more advanced. We also have a weekly Torah class. We also have our Patriarchs of the Covenant course, our Matriarchs of the Covenant course, and a bi-weekly rabbinical course. All of these courses can be found on Patreon. Again, that's patreon.com/Learn Torah. You guys were definitely in for it. It's a very invasive class. All of our classes are deeply invasive and very, very meticulous to the T when it comes to understanding the culture, the heritage, and the history of our ancient ancestors. So sign up for Biblical Hebrew at patreon.com/Learn Torah. I am your brother, Zion Lexx.
Right. As everybody can see, it says culture is earlier. Below that, it says culture is the precondition for civilization to develop. Should I even read that? Culture is the precondition allowing for civilization to develop. I mean, like, this is crazy. Because Jabari gloats, postures, and brags about being a university professor. but doesn't seem to know that there's a difference between culture and civilization, and doesn't seem to know that culture precedes what we call civilization. Like, this is really sad. Like, I would love to brutally go in and be all kinds of disrespectful, but that's not warranted, because this is just sad at this point, because there are people learning from him, which means that these errors are going to be repeated and false information is going to be repeated because of people like him. It is clear as day, as you can see on my screen, that culture is a precondition for civilization to develop. You don't have civilization unless you have the cultures which make way for said civilization. Now let's look at what civilization is. Civilization consists of technology, or the authority of man over natural phenomena. It has a precise standard of measurement. It is always advancing. It is external and a means. Few societies created what we have. Only a few societies create what we call civilization. And civilization is what? Live in what? Culture. Civilization represents a stage of cultural advancement. I'll read that part again because it's the last part for me. Civilization represents a stage of cultural advancement. You're right, Asantewa. Even though he's a university professor, every college isn't equal. Every college isn't equal. I don't know where he's teaching. I don't know where he's teaching, but it is insane that Jabari, who is almost 50 years old, if not already 50 years old, doesn't actually know there's a difference between culture and civilization. And more importantly, he doesn't know that culture comes before civilization. That's really sad that he does not know that, right? As we continue, I want to play the rest of the video and continue to critique it, because as I said, I'm critiquing what he had to say when I left. And as you guys are going to see in a couple of moments, even Ankh at one point threatens to leave for the very same reason that I did. Jabari refused to answer his questions, pondered and acted like he was the smartest person in the room. And at that point, Ankh was like, this is getting a little ridiculous. And then Ankh, as I said, felt as if Sonetta was cheating for Jabari. I felt that way because of the bomb drop. You're going to see that Ankh is going to say the same exact thing. And he's going to say when he sees that Sonetta is cheating for Jabari, now it's time to go. Just so everybody's clear, I later on called Sonetta and told him the same thing. That's exactly why I left. I felt like you was cheating. Although I later called Sonetta the following day to tell him that I appreciated making it to the end of the video where I actually saw Sonetta defending me, which is something that I didn't originally see. At the very tail end of the video, they all try to gang up and talk about me, and Sonetta literally cuts them off time after time, telling them they can't, until finally he disrespectfully cuts them off by playing music in the background, to which Jabari got really upset and started shaking his head and, you know, his throwing up his hands in the air, and you could tell he was just pissed off that Sonetta did that. So I told Sonetta that I appreciated that. But I did tell Sonetta I was straight with him. I told him that when he dropped the bomb for Jabari and he dropped no bombs for me, I felt like that was him being biased, as he's always being. You're going to literally hear Ankh in a couple of moments say Sonetta is cheating for him and being biased. And on that note, he's leaving. So that's why I left. Let's be clear, right? This guy, Ankh, the God killer, so to speak, he's not pro-Bible. He's not pro-Torah. He's actually coming on to try to help Jabari. But he encounters the same frustration that I did. Jabari refused to answer questions. Jabari's touting and rubbing himself like he's the only person in the room worth being able to be heard. And then on top of that, it seems as if Sonetta's cheating for him. So yeah, as I left, a couple of moments that he's about to leave. But don't take my word for it. Everybody listen.
And then on his own slide, the group that he's calling a civilization, the source calls them a culture. I mean, that's what happened here. So you said both of us flim-flammed. You should expect me to say, well, Ankh, I didn't see it that way. You should just expect me to say that. I didn't see it that way. The brother came here, tried to ambush me with some stuff that doesn't make sense. That's what he did. That's what he did. And once again, if you listen to how I started, this is the explanation of the problem. The problem is that when they look at Sumer, they look at proto-Sumer. And then when they look at Kemet, they look at Kemet in its dynastic phase. That's not comparing apples and oranges. That's like saying that you looked at someone who was a college student and said they're actually more advanced than someone who was in kindergarten. But you have to look at them both when they're in kindergarten. That's what you have to do. And that's not what he was doing. So we're going to continue to see those sorts of things. We're going to continue to see those sorts of things. And I'm going to spend a lot of time. I wasn't sitting here as a Kemetic spiritual practitioner. I'm sitting here as a historian. But Zion is a spiritual practice. That's all he was doing. And I keep trying to explain.
And again, what's crazy about this is Jabari feels the need to rub lotion over his body and massage himself intellectually by continually telling the people that he's the historian and I'm just the Torah practitioner. When at this point, it's clear to everybody that Jabari does not understand history because he can't even break down the most fundamental areas of the distinguishing between what a civilization is and what a culture is. And more importantly, to know that culture precedes civilization. So while he's here rubbing lotion on his body and massaging himself intellectually and trying to fool and woo people into thinking that he's a historian, he's actually failing at demonstrating that point. That's why I always say, don't believe what a person say that they are until they show you who they are.
The only reason why he's interested in this topic is because he wants to say that that Abraham, a fictitious character, came from Sumer. That's his modus operandi. And so I spent quite a bit of time, I tried, to explain his modus operandi. He was not happy about that. So he just didn't answer it. So that's what happened. So
y'all made the mistake in trying to say that farming.
Hold on for a minute.
Huh?
Hold on for 1 minute, because I see people saying Zion won, Jabari won. And this was just a conversation, a discussion between two brothers. It was not a debate. Jabari didn't win or Zion didn't win. It was just a discussion between the two brothers. Simple as that. Go ahead.
And I want to say, I'm sorry, go ahead. You were trying to say something.
Farming is not the essence of what makes a civilization. And what I was saying before you cut me off, Jabari, I was trying to say that in Africa, they have mobile communities. It's just as old as anything in Sumer. And we know
what he calls mobile communities, academics call hunter-gatherers moving from place to place. It's interesting that he says mobile community, right? Scholars would rather use the term hunter-gatherers, but he says mobile communities. He also says, and I challenge him on this, he said farming, which he really wants to say agriculture, so I'll help him out. He says farming is not, the main staple for civilization, which, as I proved, he's absolutely incorrect. Farming is the most important element that allowed for civilization, right? The cultivation of land, right? Agriculture is what allowed for the creation and mainstay and maintenance of civilization. So he's absolutely wrong on that.
They produce things at high levels because we got an multiplier. They was not they had summer homes. They took the herds with them and
they had summer homes as hunter-gatherers. This is crazy. Some of the stuff I just got to be honest. Some of the stuff that both of them is saying is crazy. He says hunter-gatherers had summer homes. It's tough being on a platform like this because there are some people that are scholars. Jabari is a scholar. And but the thing about being a scholar is scholars usually have areas of expertise. So just because a person is a scholar doesn't mean that they know and understand everything. So what we're learning in this conversation is while Jabari may have expertise and scholarly acquisition when it comes to Kemet as as a kingdom, as a people. Clearly, he still doesn't understand the fundamentals of what civilization and culture consists of. So he wouldn't be a scholar or a historian in that area, right? Because he's failing miserably in this dialogue about that. As I continue.
Went to another spot. It was at a higher level than people on the Nile Valley before Kemet. So no, not the plight is not part of Kemet. There is no Kemet in existence. It's more part of like the Sudan, right? It's although it is in what would later on be called Upper Egypt, there is Upper Egypt yet at 6,000 BCE. And my point is, they had areas with held grain, held water, you know what I'm saying? It was a whole different set of circumstances. The thing was packaged differently. And even when they did later on get farming or grains from Western Asia, it was packaged totally different in an African way. This is the way we have to say that.
Yeah,
so,
but
you was absolutely right. Let me show this to what's up, Ray? Let me show you this, Jabari, to prove.
Can you put him back on the screen? Peace, Reggie. By the way, I'm sorry.
All right, so listen, this one broke the whole conversation down. Let me show you how he was right. Watch this. This is the video. Watch this.
All the hallmarks of civilization. So farming is one of them. Not playa and its astronomical circle, brother, but actually severely pseudo. As we continue, because I want to get into the black scholars. In Sheikh Anti-Geob's book, which, by the way, as everyone can see, I'm actually holding in my hand, Civilization and Barbarism, Sheikh Anti-Geob speaks about the blackness of the Levant. And he says, in speaking of the Natufian civilization.
See, the Natufian civilization. So you didn't lie on.
No, I didn't.
So there you go. I just want to show you how we correct things in real time around here, bro.
Yeah, but you know what the challenge is? When you're in the middle of the debate, all you could do is tell people to play it back. You had the benefit.
No, you shouldn't be alone. You should have a dedicated.
Yeah, you had the benefit of being able to see.
All right, so we'll stop right there. That was an error on my part in saying the Tufian civilization and not culture, right? That can easily happen in conversation where someone says something incorrectly, right? But as you can see, my slide has it correctly, right? The very next slide that I have refers to the Tufians as a culture, right? I'm not perfect. Are there times where I may say something incorrect? Absolutely. I don't run from that. I said Natufian civilization, but I certainly meant culture. But more importantly, my PowerPoint showed that I said culture. And that's what Jabari tried to say. He said Zion said that there was civilization, but his PowerPoint said culture. Well, that's silly because I'm the one that wrote the PowerPoint. I wasn't downloading PowerPoints off the internet. The PowerPoint was written out by me. So I got it right when I wrote it. Now, when I said it slightly incorrectly. I stand on that. I'm not a perfect person. Nor am I full of myself as you are to think that I can't make mistakes. Here we go.
What he said. And the other thing is his slide. Look, here's his slide. His slide. He's saying not civilizations, yet he's calling. Look at this. I just played it. I just put it back. It's flashing. Hold on one second, because I'm showing you YouTube. It's flashing. I don't know why it's doing that.
Nah, you just
hold on a second. That's odd. Let me just show you quick. This is Eddie, and you know the other thing, Ankh, is that when you have a disagreement, they start, and a lot of my opponents do this, and it's really annoying. I know they do it to you too. They start calling you a liar.
Yeah,
I'm a liar. Could we just disagree? And let me show you
about calling the Tufians a civilization. He did call it that. I'm thinking maybe he misspoke, but he did say it.
But look.
At least Ankh said he may have misspoke. Thank you, Ankh. It is possible for a person to have said something other than what they meant to say, right? So I appreciate that from Ankh. He said maybe the brother misspoke, but Jabari wants to crucify me for that, even though my PowerPoint has it right. My PowerPoint is where I'm demonstrating my views, and the commentary that I gave live over on it, I messed up a word. But throughout the whole dialogue, I continually referred to the Natufians as a culture and not a civilization. And more specifically, I continually said in that conversation that we do not have civilization before the Bronze Age. So anything before the Bronze Age is culture, which the Natufians clearly are. They go back to 10,000 BC. So it just takes listening to everything I'm saying. If I spoke at one junction and said one thing wrong, I'm still consistent in what I'm saying overall. Jabari is really a silly human being. Here we go.
It's more than that. Look at this slide. Shanetta, can you please put this up? So he's saying cultures aren't civilizations, and his source is called the Natufian culture in the Levant. That's his source, not mine. So he's the one that he's making stuff up. He's making stuff up.
So,
and I want
to make in closing, Jabari. In closing, I simply want to say that people in Sumer didn't need people from the Nile Valley to build civilization.
Right.
People in Mesoamerica didn't need continental Africans to build civilizations. That's not real. That was something we always produced. What we do have is the crucible culture that left out of Africa and gave the foundation. That's all I want to say. I'm gonna leave it right there.
Agreed. But that's what I said. I said that. Of course, he was interrupting.
Egypt gave the world. So you kind of did that. You said
no. What I'm saying is that the flower of African civilization is in Kemet.
So here is where you're going to begin to hear even Ankh disagree with Jabari and point out what he believes Jabari got wrong. Ankh didn't come here to rub anybody's feet. He came here to speak what he believes is true based on what he knows and what he researches. And I believe that he had some things right, Ankh. I also believe that he had some things wrong. So after critiquing what he believed that I had wrong, he turns over to begin to critique Jabari. Of course, once this happens, Jabari loses it because you can't critique Jabari. Jabari's a university professor. He's a historian. There's no way he could be wrong.
And it leaves from Kemet. I'm not saying that Kemet get.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that.
I would say that. But you know why I would say that?
Yo. Oh, Christine says, this man is giving me a headache. His voice is a higher pitch than mine as a female. Where's my bomb? I got to get my bombs back. Y'all, some of y'all, I can't say everybody. Some of y'all complained about my bombs, but yo, we desperately need these bombs back, boy, because that was hilarious. She says, this man is giving me a headache. His voice is higher pitched than mine as a female. Pause. Here we go.
The hallmarks of Western civilization, according to Western
shout out to Sister Naftali,
scholars, is always Greece and Rome. Yeah. And then what they like to do sometimes is they also try to say, well, there's the religious structure of Judaism and monotheism. But the reality is that all of those things have African antecedents that we see in Kemet. So if you're going to say that that is the basis of your civilization, obviously Greece and Rome borrow heavily from ancient Kemet. And so that is what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Okay. So let's be clear. And you might have also heard me say this, Ankh. I said that Kemet isn't even the first African civilization. I said that.
You said that.
It's not the first African civilization. By the way, when you say that Nabta Playa is not Kemet, you're being, but here's what I'm saying. You're being semantic. Because when I say Kemet, listen to what I'm saying. Because if he can then say that the Natufian culture is Sumer, then by that standard, neither the Natufian culture didn't occur when Sumer existed.
That's why I say y'all was playing. That's why I came in and said I want to be clear. Nobody says it that way.
When we talk about Kemet and we talk about Sumer, we're also talking about those people that created those civilizations. That is what I mean by that.
Not the people didn't create Egypt, though.
What are you saying?
Not the Playa people didn't create.
How can you prove that? Tell me how you can prove that.
I mean, it's easy. They would end up. I'm saying they would end up creating like Nubia.
Did everybody just hear that Ankh literally said Napta Playa is not Egypt? This was a slap in the face to Jabari, because when Jabari was sitting with me earlier in the conversation, Jabari said, I have 2 words for you, Zion, Napta Playa. That blows the whole conversation out the ballpark. Because when I go into Napta Playa and connect it to Egypt, then Egypt is a much older civilization than Sumer, which I pointed out he's first cheating on the test because Napta Playa is not part of Egypt at that time in history. So that's what Ankh is talking about. Ankh is trying to correct him respectfully and tell him, brother, you are wrong. Egypt is not even Egypt in 7500 BC. What we talk about, parts of Nubia being connected to Egypt, that occurs, but we have to talk about what time period is that. That's certainly not the time period where we're talking about early dynastic Egypt, where Nubia is literally part of Egypt, right? Nor is it at this time, 7500 BC. So Jabari, as I said, is wrong on so many levels. And even one of his brothers joined the live stream, Ankh, to simply point that out and tell him. But of course, Jabari cannot take being corrected. He's an ego, Egypto maniac.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's groups that leave out the Sahara. One group go one way, one group go another way, right? They have similar culture coming out the Sahara.
What I want to say to you is,
Come on, Jabari.
wait, listen to me. If you
That's
look
not
at
real,
listen to what I'm saying.
What?
When you look at the petroglyphs that exist in the area of Nabta Playa, you see the origin of Kemetic iconography and spirituality. The people of Nabta Playa are formative in what creates Kemet.
Yeah, you made that up though.
Hey, yo, no. Listen. Hold on.
Y'all heard Ankh tell him, yeah, but you made that up though. Listen, what Ankh ain't gonna allow people to do is sit there and lie. Ankh said, nah, you made that up though. This is interesting, man. I'm gonna play it.
I agree. That's how
Hold
you
on,
made it.
hold on,
Reggie gonna agree with you on that.
Reggie just agreed with me.
Yes,
Yo, my man, y'all don't hear me?
yeah, Quay, what's up?
Nobody can fuck with you in your lane. Please stay in your lane. You're getting ran over, man. Trucks is coming by, brother. And you driving outside of your lane, man.
Oh, so as y'all see, and this is what it is, Sonetta is being biased. Once again, whenever Jabari finds himself in a situation where he can't defend himself, Sonetta does enter with a measure and degree of biasness in favor of Jabari. Ankh, like myself, gets pissed at it because if Jabari is the historian that he brags that he is, if he's the genius that he brags that he is, then why does he need help?
You got 18 wheelers right behind you, bro. Stop it.
Let me do
No,
this.
let me finish. Hold on, calm
Yeah,
down.
go ahead.
Don't
Let me put
get
these on.
emotional,
I want to
brother.
hear what you're saying. I want
Don't
to
get
listen.
emotional, brother. It's all right.
Nigga, I'm
me,
tuning in on what you saying. Stop
hold
playing.
on,
Let me listen to what
brother,
you're saying.
brother,
You
you
said
can't
what?
be quiet for a minute.
No, nigga, because you lied. I'm gonna do you
Reggie,
like Lexx did him.
I'm
You're
gonna
lying.
let Reggie get in and tell
I'm gonna do you like Lex did him. You're
No,
lying.
Let me get off here. I appreciate y'all.
why is
Sonetta
your
doing
body
that-
right, Reggie?
Sonetta to play that sway the audience shit. I'll holler at y'all later. Hey, appreciate you, Jabari. Appreciate you.
All right, everybody notice. At this point, Ankh is frustrated. Why? Jabari won't answer all questions. Jabari won't be honest. And when he calls Jabari out when he's wrong, Sonetta jumps in to help him. So at that point, what do? You have an opponent that won't answer your questions fully. You have an opponent that refuses to fully let you talk, will always cut you off. But if you dare cut him off, it's a problem. You have an opponent who will sit there and lie on you. And you have an opponent who will sit there and loud and taunt himself and make himself greater than everybody in the room. Yet he still needs to be helped by the host. And then the host now is cheating for him. So at that point, as a person having a dialogue with that person, what do? Stay there? So that's why you see Ankh saying that he's about to leave. And that's why everybody saw me leave. Because one thing about me, I feel that time is precious and I don't like wasting my time. I really don't.
Whenever that nigga start cheating, I got to go. I can't stand cheating. I don't want to get outside my character. For the record there, brother, I do archaeology. I do pre-Kemetic culture. That's what I do. So really the nigga is squaring my lane. I'm the nigga to bring Nop the Plier.
No,
I'm the
wait.
nigga to talk about Wingro and Child. Stop it. I did that 20 years ago, bro.
You weaving, man. That's
20
what
years
I'm
ago, bro.
saying, bro.
No.
20
You
years
just
ago,
weaving.
Jabari. I tell you what, Jabari, tomorrow morning, I'll bring up a blog talk show talking about Nop the Plier. You probably was still a Christian then, bro.
What?
You was a Christian when I was talking about Nop the Plier. Stop
When
it.
were you talking about Nop the Plier?
20 years ago, nigga.
No. Oh, I was a Christian 20 years ago?
You wasn't?
No.
Well, when you stopped being a Christian? Yesterday?
Over 30 years ago, I joined the Kemetic community.
So what video, what show you got
Listen,
detailing
you
Nop the
better
Plier?
be clear. You better be
No.
clear.
I'm asking you a question now. I don't want to be wrong.
Wait a
I'm
minute.
asking you a question. When have you did a full-blown conversation about Nop the
Let me
Plier?
finish.
Go ahead.
Let me finish. Reggie even knew me then. Reggie didn't know me as a Christian. As much as Reggie and I bang, I have known Reggie for a really long time.
I was wrong.
Both of us had.
I really respect what Ankh is doing here. Ankh is saying you was just a Christian not too long ago. What do you know about Nap the Plier? What videos are you on the internet showcasing and having discussions about Nap the Plier in depth? Where can we see that? Jabari starts talking about how long he knows Reggie. That's not the question. The brother asked you, where can we find you talking about Nap the Plier all these years? And what does Jabari answer by saying? Even I go back 30 years. I've been talking about it since 30 years. Even Reggie knows me 30 years ago. Nigga, how is that answering the question? What can we look at in order to see that you know about Nap the Plier and have been talking about it for years? I'm trying to be nice, y'all. But Jabari makes that challenging. He makes it challenging to be nice with him.
Bro.
You weaving, man. That's
No.
what I'm saying, bro.
No.
20
You
years
just
ago,
weaving.
Jabari. I tell you what, Jabari, tomorrow morning, I'll bring up a blog talk show talking about Nop the Plier. You probably was still a Christian then, bro.
What?
You was a Christian when I was talking about Nop the Plier. Stop
When
it.
were you talking about Nop the Plier?
20 years ago, nigga.
No. Oh, I was a Christian 20 years ago?
You wasn't?
No.
Well, when you stopped being a Christian? Yesterday?
Over 30 years ago, I joined the Kemetic
So
community.
what video, what show you got
Listen,
detailing
you
Nop the
better
Plier?
be clear. You better be clear.
No. I'm asking you a question now. I don't want to be wrong.
Wait a
I'm
minute.
asking you a question. When have
Jabari, answer his question. Damn, Jabari, why you can't answer questions? The man asked you, what video can we find you on talking about Nap the Plier? Answer the question. Everybody listen to Jabari's answer.
And you can't tell me more about.
show talking about Nop the Plier? You probably was still a Christian then, bro.
What?
You was a Christian when I was talking about Nop the Plier.
When were you talking about Nop the Plier?
20 years ago, nigga.
No. Oh, I was a Christian 20 years ago?
You wasn't?
No.
Well, when you stopped being a Christian? Yesterday?
Over 30 years ago, I joined the Kemetic
So
community.
what video, what show you got
Listen,
detailing
you
Nop the
better
Plier?
be clear. You better be clear.
No. I'm asking you a question now. I don't want to be wrong.
Wait a
I'm
minute.
asking you a question. When have you did a full-blown conversation about Nop the
Let me
Plier?
finish.
Go ahead.
Let me finish. Reggie even knew me then. Reggie didn't know me as a Christian. As much as Reggie and I bang, I have known Reggie for a really long time.
I was wrong.
Both of us had thick heads of hair and no gray.
It was a joke.
So
I'm
I'm going to be clear, but let me say this to you. Let me say this to you.
Go ahead.
One of the things that I think that happens with you and I, Ankh, is you see me as a Kemetic spirituality practitioner. I am a Kemetic spirituality practitioner, but most of what I do when I'm here with Sonetta is not Kemetic spirituality. And you can't tell me more about the petroglyphs unless you've worked with the professors studying the petroglyphs at the Nubian Museum. Have you even ever been to the Nubian Museum?
Stop. What's the petroglyph?
No, that's my question to you.
What's the petroglyph? No, I have not.
So then how could you
No, I
say
have
to
not.
me that, wait a minute. So now you're saying to the audience that that's your lane and not my lane.
I didn't say that. What
Yes,
I
you
said
did.
No, what I said was I studied pre-Egyptian cultures. Nobody says that Nop the Plier is the foundation of Egypt but you.
That's not true.
So go find.
Did he just say exactly what I said? No scholar alive is saying Nap the Plier is the foundation of Egypt as a civilization. No scholar alive is saying we can look at Nap the Plier and be able to say that Egypt is a civilization in 7500 BC. I said that. And now Ankh is saying it. And once again, Jabari cannot take being corrected when he's wrong.
Find it. Go source up right now. I'm shut up. Go do it. Don't talk me to death.
Now listen, you have to know that when you're looking for a specific, listen to me. When you're looking for a specific source like that, it takes a little bit of time, right?
You don't know it off the top of your head?
Right? What off the top of my head?
I just told you Childs and Wingrove. They did the archaeological survey on that.
You don't know the source off the top of your head, Jabari? You a historian, right? Answer the man's question. He's embarrassing Jabari at this point. Jabari is the only person in the room that's bragging that he's his historian. He's also now bragging, saying that he went to the museums and professors and he's been on the ground and to speak with these people hands on. So what's your source? Not a goddamn thing.
The Playa. They got 2 books, book 1 and book 2, off the top of the dome, bro.
By the way, his name is Wendorf, not Wengrove.
Okay, so I said
So wait a minute.
Don't crack the joke. Hey,
it's not a joke. It's not a joke. What I'm saying to you is, what I'm saying
pronunciation. That's fine.
Kayleen, you are right. Jabari Osaze is a master evader, not a master debater. By the way, if you say that fast enough, that's probably what he is. If you say master debater fast enough. But he's not a master debater. He's a master evader. I got jokes.
Wait a minute. What I'm saying to you is you're saying that you're giving a source, but I'm saying that you're even misspeaking the source. And I know that because I read the source.
No, I'm saying go get it right now. Stay right where we at. If you don't have it, say I don't have it. Thank you for correcting me.
Now, what are you asking me to get? Let's be clear about what you're asking me to
say. Nafta Playa is the foundation of Kemet.
I didn't say that it was the foundation.
Now you changed it. So
I'm saying the people listen to what I'm saying clear.
Jabari done shapeshifted his point so many times in this conversation. He done shapeshifted the point with me. Now he's shapeshifted and trying to change the point with Ankh. You did say that Nafta Playa was the foundation of Egyptian civilization because that question that I asked you was, when does Kemet become a civilization? You took us to Nafta Playa and began to discuss how they are the foundation of Kemet civilization. Now that Ankh is asking you for a source to prove what you said, now you're going to say, well, that's not really what I said. So that's why you guys heard me say, Jabari, you are a liar. You are lying.
Clearly, I'm saying that the people of Nafta Playa were formative in the development of Kemet. That's what Kemet is actually not just one people. There are groups of people that live in the area that come together in a federation that is Kemet. And the people when you look at the thinking of the people of Nafta Playa, when you look at the petroglyphs, you're going to see that those ideas go directly into.
Hey, Shamiwela, Ankh is old school. He's young, edgy, but he's Jabari. He come from Baltimore, so you know how they talk too. And he not gonna let Jabari play with him too. Shout out to all my brothers in B-More and my sisters in B-More, man. And Ankh is an OG, man. And he a thug for real. Ankh will pull up on you. Ankh will pull up on you. He a thug for real, but he also a thug with information. I have a measured degree of respect for the scholarship that he brings as well.
To the iconography we see in Kemet. We see it more perfectly in Kemet than we even see it in Nubia. So I would argue, and this is my argument, that those people who created Nafta Playa and their thinking was formative in the creation of Kemet. Most scholars would agree.
You just said this is my argument, then you said most scholars would agree? What?
Agree with me on that. For you to say that.
That's your argument, as you said. Meaning you're the only one making this argument. But most scholars would agree with you. Jabari, let's hit play. I can't.
The scholars would not agree? Really?
It take you 2 seconds. You know how long it would take you right now?
To do what?
Mr. Professor, Pull up the damn petroglyph. Don't talk me to death. Pull that shit up and give us the time period. This is where the rubber meet the road.
No, that's not what I'm gonna do. What I am gonna do is this.
See y'all
Let me
later,
show
ladies
you
and
how-
gentlemen. Thank you, brother.
Wait,
Appreciate it.
let me show you this. Let me show
You
you.
got
this.
it. You got it, Reggie. You got the.
Let me show you this. Let me show you this. I'm
The
not going to
thinking-
petroglyphs right now. Let me show you this first.
Okay.
Okay.
But
Let me
that's
show
what we
you
actually talked about, though.
Because
Your whole thing was the
Listen,
petroglyph. You
no,
petroglyph.
wait. My thing is,
Jabari said that he can go to the petroglyphs and show how they had writing and parts of the hallmark of civilization. So these are some of the reasons why he's saying that they're a civilization and they're a civilization before Sumer, and they helped to make Kemet a civilization. So all Ankh is doing is saying, all right, show us a source. Notice Jabari, when forced to show the source, he says, no, that's not what I'm going to do. I'm not going to show a source for that. But I'll tell you what I will do. And he's going to do something else. He's not going to show a source for the petroglyph. So Jabari has been saying a lot of things and has not been sourcing what he's been saying. I sourced everything I said. And I was right in everything I said.
I'm saying to you that scholars do, in fact, place Nabta Playa and the thinking in Nabta Playa into the formation of Kemet. That's what I'm saying to you. So my thing is not just petroglyphs. I'm saying that petroglyphs is one of the ways.
Shemuela said, what he Googling now? Because Jabari been on Google all night. I called him out on that earlier. Even with Ankh, he's still on Google. Do y'all remember that when I called him out in that conversation and I said, you don't know how to respond to me, and that's why you're on Google now, shuffling and looking as to what you can respond to me with, because you are unprepared and you don't understand how to deal with this topic nor me. Jabari said, no, I'm not on Google. But then he brought us to astronomy.com. No, I'm not on Google, but look at these petroglyphs from this website. No, I'm not on Google, but look at this website. Bruh, you're on Google. Stop it.
And I've worked with 2 scholars out of the Nubian Museum around them. I have pictures from those petroglyphs 15 years ago.
Hey, Jabari.
So look at this course. Can you look at this, please?
Yeah,
Please.
Hey, like I said, man, woman, I'm not going to say child, but to the sisters, anybody that wants to join the live stream, I'm continually posting the link. The only thing that I ask for anybody that joins the live stream, make sure we can see your face. Anybody is welcomed. Anybody's welcome on this live stream right now. I just want to be able to see your face. All right. The link to the live stream is there. I'm going to continue to post it. Anybody who wants to join in, join in. Also, family, do remember, guys, there's a lot of hard work that I put in to do what I do. So the way that you show your love is by supporting this platform. By all means, guys, send a donation to the platform. You can send it to $ or Cash App Zion Lexx. You can send it through PayPal at zionlex@gmail.com. You can visit our website, which is patreon.com/learn Torah, or at the very bare minimum, you could thumb up the video, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and share the video. There's many ways that everybody could support. All right, many ways as we continue.
Look at
that up there.
Sonetter? You showing it, Sonetter? Okay. Now, do you know who Robert Winkie is?
Put us down. He at the University of Washington. Go ahead.
No, but I'm saying Robert Winkie is one of the scholars on the petroglyph study that you were referring to. And look at how he even terms his description of what comes to Kemet. He says, Egypt, origins of complex societies. He doesn't put Nabta Playa outside.
I want everybody to notice how Jabari is about to treat this source. This is supposed to be Jabari's source that scholars are saying that Nabta Playa is the origin of Egyptian civilization. Watch how this master of deception goes to work in trying to fool y'all into thinking that that's what the scholars are saying in this article he pulls up. Don't believe me. Listen for yourself. Jabari is a master at telling lies, yo. Check this out, everybody.
Hey, Jabari.
So look at this course. Can you look at this, please?
Yeah,
please look at
that
this.
up there.
Sonetter? You showing it, Son Editor? Okay. Now, do you know who Robert Winke is?
Put us down. He at the University of Washington. Go ahead.
No, but I'm saying Robert Winke is one of the scholars on the petroglyph study that you were referring to. And look at how he even terms his description of what comes to Kemet. He says, Egypt, origins of complex societies. He doesn't put now.
The article's entitled Egypt, Origins of Complex Societies. So he's generally talking about the origins of complex societies, and he's also talking about Egypt. Jabari, if you don't know how to read, allow me to help you. Do you see the colon, Jabari, that comes after Egypt, followed by the words origins of complex societies? That colon, Jabari, is there to tell you that the conversation is about origins of complex societies. And in this conversation, we're talking about Egypt's role in that. If you notice, the colon is there so that one does not say that Egypt is the origins of complex society. I mean, God damn, you super stupid. There's just no nice way to say it. You're super stupid. There's a colon there, Jabari. The article is not saying Egypt is the origins of complex societies. It's talking about the origins of complex societies, and then it's going to interweave Egypt into that discussion to show Egypt as a contributor towards the origins of complex societies. God damn it. You don't know how to read. And you're a historian and a university professor? This is scary. By the way, Ankh is going to point out what I just said too. Let's keep going.
Multiplier outside of Egypt.
No, go back. Go back to that. Go back one. That says Egypt. It's talking about Egypt. Origins of complex society. It's basically saying that Egypt is the origin of complex societies. Go ahead.
Ankh, you read that wrong. It's not saying that Egypt is the origin of complex societies. That's why it's a colon there. It says Egypt, then a colon, and then after the colon, it says origins of complex societies. So in that portion of the article, it's going to talk about where Egypt fits in contributing towards complex societies and their origins. But it is not calling Egypt the origin of complex societies, because if that's the case, there would not have been a colon there. What's challenging and frustrating for me in this moment is the fact that I need to say this to grown men, right? That we have to actually show them how English grammar works, right? I work with several different languages. I do Hebrew, I do Aramaic, I do a little bit of Arabic. I'm now learning Greek. I do Medu Neter, right? So I know a little bit about language, we're going to say. But I would assume that Jabari and Ankh grew up learning English. So I'm hoping that they know that, you know, the purpose of a colon and why that's there. But let's play the video.
And I want you to see that one of the things that he's going to talk about, do you see Nabta on the map? Do you see it here?
Jabari, go ahead. Keep going, brother.
So what I'm trying to explain to you is scholars do, in fact, actually describe Nabta as one of the formative developments of civilization.
Yo, this is crazy. Like, this is crazy. So Jabari's pointing out that the article that has Egypt, origins of complex societies, the next page has a map of Egypt. Mind you, a modern map. The modern maps of Egypt include Nabta, because modern Egypt, the way that it's divided into portion, it includes Nabta. All of the older maps separate Nabta from Egypt and consider it part of Nubia. So this is a modern map inside of the book. And because the map includes Nabta, Jabari says, see, scholars are saying that Nabta is part of formative Egypt as a civilization. No, Jabari, it's a goddamn map. And it's a modern map at that. This dude is a masterful liar, like on the highest levels. Like, this is crazy.
Civilization. You can even go. This is a book. Peter Clayton's. Everyone has this.
So
You do too.
Jabari, you playing
Peter-
with me now? Why
Peter
would you play with me
Clayton's
like that, though, Jabari?
Chronicle of the Pharaohs, and clearly, there's a section here on Nabta Playa in a book called Chronicles of the Pharaohs. All scholars look at Nabta Playa, and they describe Nabta Playa as part of those elements. I'm trying to look for the page on Nabta Playa
we can talk about some of the elements, Jabari. I'm not sitting up here on this panel saying that there aren't like Nubian elements that you would find, and of course they're different.
Why are you calling Nabta Playa Nubia?
No, it's not. It's not that. But what I'm saying, there's Nubian culture, old Nubian culture. There's Nabta Playa, right? That's the cattle culture, right? The oldest statues of quote unquote cattle you find buried in Nabta Playa, right? Big ass statues. My point is, the source you just showed is not saying what you said out your mouth, Jabari.
Exactly. The source that you just showed, Jabari, is not saying what you're saying. Jabari, you are a liar, man. Like, this is sad and bad. This is bad and sad. You a liar. The source is not saying what you're saying, man. You lying. Damn, you lying. And I would like everybody to just think about this for a moment. If the source was saying what Jabari was saying, wouldn't you guys see Jabari do what I do? You guys know when I show sources, I like to make the screen very bold. I like to heighten up the font so everybody could see it clear, so everybody could read along. Jabari leaves it so nobody could read it but him. Because you lying. Even as Ankh is pointing out, the source is not saying what you're saying. Jabari, you are a liar.
No, what I said was scholars do, in fact, place Nabta Playa firmly in the origin of Kemet. The name of the article is called Egypt, Origin of Complex Societies. Origins of Complex Society.
I know you're a professor.
And then what he does. Wait.
Yo, Ankh got the same frustrations I do. Because you're a professor, Jabari. You don't see the colon? The article is not saying that Egypt is the origins of complex society. It's talking about Egypt's role in the making of complex societies. Their role. Several nation states contributed towards the origins of complex societies. This is not even talking about the origin of civilization. Complex societies. Jabari, you a liar.
And then what he does is he begins to talk to you about. I mean, this is the reason why he's showing these spaces. He's saying these are the spaces that help you understand the origin of complex societies. And Nabta Playa is on the map. Why would someone call it then describe Nabta Playa if he's not saying that Nabta Playa is part of Kemet? Why would he do that? I'm saying to you,
that noise in the background, though, Jabari?
That's not in my background. I don't know.
Is that you?
No, it's not my background. I don't know who it is. So that is what I'm trying to explain. Now let me. Is it Sonetta that has the TV in the background? That's you, Reggie? No?
That's not. It was you.
It was Sonetta. It's Sonetta. It's Sonetta. Look, he muted it, and then it went away.
We're having a good conversation. Hold on, Jabari.
Yes.
I didn't know it was that loud. Wife in there watching the TV. I didn't know it was that damn
Okay,
loud.
that's fair. That's okay.
Hey, Jabari, come on, man. Listen,
Yes.
You know what I always do, though? I always respect the serious opponents. I think at times, Joe, you don't recognize game. So I'm telling you, what you just brought me did not explain any of what we was talking about. One,
Thank you.
Talking about the petroglyphs. Two,
Thank you.
We was talking about.
Ankh said clear as day, Jabari, with all due respect, the video, the source that you just brought did not describe at all any of the points that you made. And Jabari knows that. Everybody just Look at the look on Jabari's face. You can't look on his face and see that he lying. I got one for you, everybody, because this pause right here is epic. Look at Sonetta looking at him like, damn, my man lying. Even Sonetta knows Jabari is lying. Yo, this freeze right here is epic. Ankh is calling him out on the lie. Jabari, you could clearly look on his face and see he lying. Sonetta looking like, damn, he lying. And Reggie just sitting back eating popcorn and smoking his cigar because Reggie enjoying all this. He enjoying all this. This is epic. It's the freeze for me, y'all. It's the freeze frame for me. Jabari looked like he caught in a lie. Ankh is pointing out that you lying. Sonetta like, damn, he really lying. And Reggie sitting back smoking a cigar like, I got something for all you Negroes.
You kind of changed it, slightly changed it to now cultural elements from not to apply to Egypt. I would not argue that. There are cultural elements that you will find there. Maybe. They're all small things, right? That's fine. You find different elements all over the Nile Valley that go into making Kemet. Okay, so I'm not arguing that, right? If I'm talking burial practices, I'm talking the 5th cataract, I'm talking the 6th cataract, right?
Okay.
Right? I'm talking burial practices, the bees, I'm talking the cities of the dead. That's there first. I'm talking about that later.
I agree with you so much on that, Shemuela. Shemuela says, now I know why these brothers have an incapability to believe in the Bible. They can turn a fiction book into reality. That's a fact. I see why y'all struggle with learning the Bible and understanding why the Bible. I see why you guys struggle. Because I see that when y'all don't have right information, y'all start lying. I see that y'all don't really understand basic things and fundamentals about history, culture, and civilization. And this is just crazy. Like, this is really crazy. And remember, guys, to be the Torah practitioner here, even though I demonstrated that my understanding of history is far more superior than that of Jabari's, or anyone on this panel for that matter, as we continue.
Later on, you're going to find, I'm talking about burn the subjects when the king died, right? I'm talking about the kingship, the sacrificial kingship coming from Sudan, right? I know this. I don't have to argue with nobody. Then there's farming that's coming from Lower Egypt, right? Out of the Levant. But they repackage it. So it's an African repackaging.
It goes Sonetta being biased for Jabari. It goes Sonetta being biased for Jabari. And Ankh didn't notice it at first, but if you look at Ankh's face, he's starting to now notice it. Look at Jabari's face. Happy that once again Sonetta is jumping in to cheat on his behalf. When Ankh begins to call Sonetta out on what he's doing, I want everybody to look at Jabari's face. He gets happy again. Notice Jabari was looking like he was sitting in a hot seat the whole time. When he notices that Sonetta begins to cheat for him and Ankh is frustrated about that and once again threatened to leave, now you're going to start seeing Jabari smile again. Jabari is a master of deception, yo, like on a real deep level.
Yeah, you don't hear that, man?
We've been on this live stream watching Jabari the last 45 minutes. He ain't crack a smile yet. The moment that Sonetta started to cheat for him, everybody look at Jabari's face. Isn't that the picture of the words smiling from cheek to cheek? Look at him. I mean, just look at him, y'all. Like, this dude is pathetic. He got his butt whooped by me in that dialogue. He's getting his butt whooped now by Ankh in the dialogue. The moment that Sonetta starts to cheat for him, now he's happy again. This dude is the spin master. He's the master of deception. He's a master deceiver. He's a master debater. Say that fast enough, you know what he really is. He's a master debater. A master debater. Say that. All right. Crazy.
You driving half sleep? your lane, brother.
Why'd you do that?
They beeping and you keep moving out your lane.
Why'd you do that? Oh, it's funny. So I'm
Messing with you.
I'm trying to help out your man out.
Nah, go ahead. I'm only
Yeah, so
fucking with
you kind of twins. Do you know that the Japanese kind of repackaged hip hop the way they do it? Is it yeah, the way they do it, right? You know, they hip hop thing. It's not actually African American hip hop. They have repackaged it. So I'm telling you that the farming, the seeds you get from Western Asia is repackaged in an.
Jabari sent an SOS text message to Sarnetta in the words of Kevin Hart. Help me. Help me. Nigga. Help me.
African farming detail, brother. So I don't have a problem with them bringing grain from Western Asia. That's the truth. You can't argue that.
But I didn't argue. I didn't argue that.
I'm just showing there are different elements that go into making kemet. The more substantial things that go into kemet is Africa. It's the African cultures around the Nile that's coming around the Sahara that form later on becoming Egypt, but not the playa, right? That's of the Nile Valley of Egypt. That's just not. That's what I'm trying to tell you. There's certain elements out of that. Huh?
But Ankh, all I'm saying to you is that you are indubitably wrong. That's all I'm saying to you.
And you know what?
You're wrong.
And you know what though?
Wait,
you know what? You could be right, but you had 20 minutes. You could have just gave it to me.
Wait a minute. I let you.
Y'all heard what Ankh said? Ankh said you could be right, but you had 20 minutes to explain why you was right, and you didn't. Ain't that exactly what I told Jabari? You got all this time to find the right answer. You on Google, you shuffling, and you can't seem to find the answers, but you the historian, and I'm just the practitioner, but you can't seem to find the answers. Then when I provide the answers, now it's ambush scholarship because you're not prepared. How is a historian, a man who brags about being a historian, a man who's essentially bragging about knowing far more than me, why is that man crying that he is underprepared and I am doing ambush scholarship by presenting information that he cannot respond to effectively? If you know way more than me, if you the historian, how could I ever represent ambush scholarship for you? This is crazy.
He's flaming right
I
now.
let you speak. Let me finish. I let you speak. I just listened to you.
Now want you to listen to me. I want you to get the petroglyphs and get the source.
Listen to what I'm saying. Hold on. My point was not strictly about petroglyphs.
I feel like Jabari did use ChatGPT, because one thing about ChatGPT that's coming out in the media, they don't always get things right, which is why Amazon has been returning people's books and taking it off the shelf, because people are putting out books using ChatGPT, and some of the information coming out is really, really wrong. And these people don't realize it because they just let these books fly. So I think Jabari may have actually been using ChatGPT. I'm hoping he's not really this stupid.
My point is that when you look at Nabta Playa, you are seeing one of the formative sites that goes into the conception of ancient Kemet. That's my point. And you said, no, it goes into Nubia. And I said, well, what I'm saying to you is if you look at the petroglyphs in the area around Nabta Playa, you're going to see the things that actually go into Kemetic iconography. That's what I said.
Time period, Jabari. Give me a time period. Don't just say stuff.
I gave the whole audience a time period starting in 7500 BCE.
No, that's not the Playa time. Give me the time period of the petroglyphs. Stop it. There's no Kemet at 7500 BCE.
Woo! Stop it, Jabari. There's no Kemet at 7500 BC. Jabari, stop lying, yo. Seriously, stop for a second. Stop lying. Yo, stop. Jabari, stop. You lying. Yo, this is crazy. This is crazy that someone from his own community got to come on the live stream and tell him, yo, stop lying. This is crazy.
Is that when you look at Nabta Playa, you are seeing one of the formative sites that goes into the conception
All right. We got thrown off for a second, y'all. We should be back on. Keep watching, y'all. We should be back on. If you guys can see me now, type of 1. If you guys can see me now, type of 1. Type of 1, type of 1. It froze over here. If you guys can see me, type of 1. Let me know. Can y'all see me? We good? Guys, type of 1. Let me know. Or else I may have to kill the live stream. Oh, y'all see me? We good? All right, good. Let's go back into the rest of this. All right, let's go back to the rest of this. The live stream did freeze. Y'all wasn't wrong. It definitely did freeze. Let's go back a bit.
That's what I said.
Time period, Jabari. Give me a time period. Don't just say stuff.
I gave the whole audience a time period starting in 7500 BCE.
No, that's not to apply your time. Give me the time period of the petroglyphs. Stop it. There's no Kimmy that's 7500 BCE. Now,
brother, Ankh, if that is the case, then there is no Sumer during the Natufian culture. What I'm saying to you is,
right now,
listen to what I'm saying. Brother, you got to listen. Stop. You act like a 4-year-old now. Stop. You act like a 4-year-old. Stop.
Yo, one thing about Jabari is when he get frustrated, he would definitely disrespect you with words too. He out of control right now. Like Ankh is just asking him to source up. Ankh is saying, yo, why can't you provide a source? You're so adamant that you're right. Why can't you provide a source that actually shows that you're right? Jabari begins to get frustrated. Now he got to start calling names. Now Ankh is a 4-year-old. Now Ankh don't know what he's talking about. All because Jabari is frustrated and can't provide the answers. Jabari, just say that you don't got the answers, Sway. Just say that. Stop calling people names. Stop acting like you're the only person that's worth being heard.
Like a 4-year-old.
Like a 4-year-old. I'm listening to you and you're not listening to me.
Acting like a 4-year-old.
That's what you're doing.
You act like a bambling nut.
Stop.
Not giving out.
He said, I'm acting like a 4-year-old. You acting like a babbling nut by not giving sources for what you're saying is right. Ankh, we might disagree on some things, but you absolutely right in this conversation, brother. You absolutely right. Jabari, man, is out of control. And if he doesn't get checked by his own community, he will continue in this craziness. He is out of control.
Brother, Ankh, if that is the case, then there is no Sumer during the Natufian culture. What I'm saying to you is, listen to what I'm saying. Brother, you got to listen. Stop. You act like a 4-year-old now. Stop. You act like a 4-year-old. Stop.
I'm acting like a 4-year-old.
Like a 4-year-old. I'm listening to you and you're not listening to me.
Acting like a 4-year-old.
That's what you're doing.
You act like a bambling nut.
Stop.
Not giving out the information I'm asking
what
for.
I'm saying.
Wait, I'm a 4-year-old and you act like you can't hear what I'm saying, Jabari?
Listen to what I'm saying.
See, you scamming, Jabari.
I'm scamming.
I don't appreciate that.
Okay.
I don't. You're way smarter than that. I don't appreciate that.
What I'm saying.
I'm a 4-year-old and you're a scammer.
Why is it that you're doing that? I listened to you and now you're not listening.
Yo, come on, brother. Y'all, come on, man.
I see what's wrong with Lexx.
As usual, Jabari don't have sources to back up and substantiate what he's talking about.
Go ahead, Reggie. Watch y'all get back into it.
Reggie, please tell that Jabari is right, please.
Shit. Better not. I have a whole month of lectures. Better not.
Yeah.
Everybody get it right.
All right, I'm gonna pause it here, guys. I'm gonna pause it here because Reggie's gonna come in and try to agree with him. We're gonna do this live stream again tomorrow because tomorrow I'm gonna check Reggie. Tomorrow I'm gonna check Reggie. But I'll say this to you guys because I do got some time today. I do have some energy. If you guys want to see me check Brother Reggie live, throw some fire emojis in the room. If you guys want this live stream to continue some more and you want to see me check Reggie live on some of the craziness he about to say, throw some fire emojis in the room. Also, family, thumb up the video, share the live stream. Make sure you throw up the video, share the live stream. Also, don't forget to donate to the platform. Show your love. All right, so we're going to keep going. The people have voted. Let's go.
Right. Everybody make sure to get it right.
I'm having a little problems pulling up some information, and so I need a few more. Need a few more seconds.
Powerful.
And so I'll let them continue for a few
I,
more.
I was speaking, so I want to just say that you've asked me to pull up the petroglyphs. It's going to take time to do that because you have to understand. Listen to me. Why you have to interrupt every second, Og? Stop. I didn't do that to you.
Jabari, why does it take time to pull up a source that agrees that naphtha playa is what makes civilization is what makes Kemet a civilization? Why does it take time to do that? You're so adamant that this is true, but you can't find a source that shows it. And then when people begin to show sources that disagree with it, now they're doing ambush scholarship. Jabari, man, you might really be an egomaniac. Like you might really be an egomaniac. Like you got a real ego problem. For what? I don't know. Like your head is bigger than your brain, but I don't know why you're an egomaniac. People who are genuinely egomaniacs, they really are brilliant people. I don't know why you an egomaniac. I don't. Because you've said so many silly things in this conversation that I'm not sure that I regard you with the same breath. Like this is crazy at this point. You can't take correction. You assert that you're wrong and everybody else is right. And when people ask you to show sources for why you're right, you get frustrated and say, oh, I'm not going to provide it now. Oh, it's going to take more time. You a whole joke is what you are. Like you're an actual pathetic joke.
I didn't do that to you.
My fault.
What I'm saying is, okay, what I'm saying to you is that one of the reasons why it's going to take me a while to pull up the piece on the petroglyph is because they're my pictures. I'd have to go through my groups of pictures from like 15 years ago. It would take a little while for me to do that. But I want you to understand, it seems like when you look at me, you only see a Kemetic priest. I am not just a Kemetic priest. I've been studying this for a really long time.
He's been studying this for a really long time. He's not just a Kemetic priest. He's an African historian, but he don't got no answers to show to people. This guy is a whole new kind of brand new fool. Like, this is crazy.
And so all I'm saying to you is that the petroglyphs that I'm going to pull up are petroglyphs that you're not going to find online. Why? Because I worked with the scholars who did the installation at the Nubian Museum. And that's why I said if you haven't been to the Nubian.
So what Jabari is trying to tell y'all is he can't show you the sources because they're secret sources. Yo, I gotta play that part back again. He can't show the sources because he got the sources directly from the scholars that provide the sources. So he that's why he can't show us the sources, because the sources that he has comes from his experience of the scholars that are looking at the sources. So he can't show us the sources. So guys, they're secret sources. Yo, do y'all understand why I'm saying this dude is a liar? Like, yo, this is crazy.
From like 15 years ago, it would take a little while for me to do that. But I want you to understand, it seems like when you look at me, you only see a Kemetic priest. I am not just a Kemetic priest. I've been studying this for a really long time. And so all I'm saying to you is that the petroglyphs that I'm going to pull up are petroglyphs that you're not going to find online. Why? Because I work.
Let's listen to why we're not going to get the sources, right? Let's listen to why we can't get the sources from him tonight.
A Kemetic priest. I am not just a Kemetic priest. I've been studying this for a really long time. And so all I'm saying to you is that the petroglyphs that I'm going to pull up are petroglyphs that you're not going to find online. Why? Because I worked with the scholars who did the installation at the Nubian Museum. And that's why I said, if you haven't been to the Nubian
even Reggie had to get up and walk out. Because this is a whole incredible lie. Like this is, yo, the level of lying isms. I guess there's levels. The level of a liar you gotta be to say what you saying right now. Like, dude literally said he cannot provide the source because he worked with the scholars at the installation of the Nubian Museum. So, you know, the sources are not sources online. So they're secret sources, guys. This is crazy, yo. Yeah, I mean, let's be fair, everybody. Let's be fair. If I was to say what Jabari is saying in that dialogue, I cannot show the sources because I worked with the scholars behind the scenes and none of the sources are online. They're secret sources. What would that chat room have done to me? Would they have flamed me? So y'all better flame Jabari.
Museum or work with those scholars. How could you know more about this than me? That's all I'm saying to you. So you can do the research. All I'm saying, and the other thing that I was really the larger point that I'm trying to disagree with you on, that you seem not to hear that I'm saying, is that virtually every scholar that looks at Nabta Playa connects it to Kemet. Of course, Nabta.
Jabari said virtually every, I want everybody to just listen to his words because his own words show you that he's a liar. He said virtually every scholar connects Nabta Playa to Egypt as a civilization, showing that Egypt is the earliest. So if virtually every scholar does, Jabari, why are you referencing this one secret source that you can't show? Where are all the other several references that you're saying exist? But let me guess. They're all secret sources from secret experiences that you had with secret people behind closed doors, and everything is a secret. You know, in the Caribbean, we call that kingfish behavior. Y'all know what a kingfish is? That's kingfish behavior. When men go behind closed doors and keep secrets for one another. All the Caribbean people on the live stream know what I'm talking about. That's kingfish behavior. What do you mean? You've been talking to the scholars behind the scenes. Pause. Pause.
Playa is before there is a Kemet. But that, in that sense, we're talking about semantics. I mean, that's what we're doing. I mean, when the United States looks at the Revolutionary War, they consider that part of the United States, but the United States did not exist at that time. So I want you to recognize that everyone actually looks at the
Just so y'all know, Reggie did not go up to the bathroom. Reggie got up to laugh. Reggie headed out. We literally just watched a GIF. GIF. A GIF. Reggie wasn't in human form just now. We just watched a GIF. Reggie just headed out because the level of lying Jabari's doing, Reggie couldn't even co-sign that. And Reggie's here, by the way, to help him, as I'm going to checkmate Reggie in a couple of moments. Reggie came to help him, but the level of lying that Jabari's doing, even Reggie had to say, yo, I'm out. I can't sit here and co-sign this. Like, this is astronomically crazy. This is Nabta Playa astronomical circle, astronomical crazy.
Antecedents to civilizations. I don't have a problem with that. As long as we're saying it's the same people that assisted in the development of something, then we can do that. But I see you challenging me on Nabta Playa and Kemet, but you not said anything about Zion saying the Tufian and Sumer. And so we're both looking at. Yeah, but then why are you here acting like you done messed up, Jabari? When what we're doing is,
I can't make it stop. Jabari got to stop lying first. I can't. He got to stop lying. We should have been taking count, man. I want somebody to go back. Seriously, I want somebody to go back and watch this particular video from beginning to end. And I want y'all to count how many times Jabari lied. If y'all give me somewhat of an accurate account of how many times he lied, I got something for y'all. No cap. I got something for you. I want y'all to really go back and watch this whole video, this particular video that we on right now, my live stream, and see how many times we caught Jabari in a lie, and then put that in the comment section, comment, and show us how many times he lied. Because this is really crazy, yo. Like, this is crazy. Like, this dude at this point, like,
he's a bold-faced liar because he's lying with a smile on his face. He's lying with a straight face. Like, he's the living definition of I have no shame. I'm a whole liar.
What we're doing
saying
is
that
we're looking.
I'm saying you got to talk about the cattle culture. If you're going to talk about Egypt and not the supply, you got to talk about the cattle culture.
What we're doing.
That's where I'm at with it.
But I have no problem talking about cattle culture because it also goes into.
So we'll stay right. That's all I'm saying.
I have no problem doing that.
Okay, so
but you're making a distinction that scholars don't make.
You know what? We know what elders say, guys. You know, when you arguing with one person, maybe it's them. But when you out here arguing with everybody, at some point you got to realize it's you. Jabari, it's not just me that has a problem with you as a scholar. It's not just me that recognize and will call you out as a liar. You a liar. Like homeboy, like Jabari. Seriously. You a liar, and you got to stop, man. Because it's embarrassing. Most importantly, for you. For you, it's embarrassing. You're a university professor. Like, you really teach in a university. You're a Cornell University graduate. Why should you be lying? You being lazy. You said you got 4,000 books. Yo, this dude said he has 4,000. Guys, do y'all know what 4,000 books look like? Jabari, I want y'all to go back and look at that video where me and Jabari are having this discussion, right? When does Egypt become a civilization on Sonnetta's channel, right? You'll notice that, and I'll provide a timestamp tomorrow. But if you go through that video, you'll definitely find a point where Jabari is mad that I'm showing books. Why? I'm showing books that validate things that I'm saying live, because I'm a person that I'm gonna show and prove what I'm saying. So Jabari's saying Zion act like he the only one that got books. I got books too. I have well over 4,000 books in my house. Let me tell y'all something right now. I've been in Jabari's house. I've been on the second floor. I've been in the basement. I did not go on the third floor, right? Jabari has a nice, beautiful brownstone in Harlem, right? I debated him in his home. He has a nice, beautiful brownstone. I've been on the second floor of that brownstone. I've been on the ground level of that brownstone where he hosts his classes, right? With all due respect. However, 4,000 books, I just want y'all to, like, do y'all know what 4,000 books look like in somebody's house? Jabari, when did you get 4,000 books? Because when I visited, I know I did not see 4,000 books, but I know it's secret, right? It's in the secret dungeon, the secret part of the house that you don't show nobody. Jabari, you got to stop lying, man. Like, at some point, you got to stop lying. Because with 4,000 books, you scrambling to find a source for something you say every scholar's talking about. You looking real bad out here. Because the lies you telling, they not adding up, Sway. You have over 4,000 books. That's what you say. You said virtually every scholar is saying that Naphtha Playa is what makes Egypt the oldest civilization. But you can't go to any of those 4,000 books to show us? Somebody, please, make it make sense.
That's what you're doing.
No, what are you talking about?
You're making a distinction that scholars don't make. Everyone acknowledges that cattle culture from Nubia also went into Kemet. Who doesn't agree with that?
But that's the piece to come out of Naphtha Playa, bro. What are you saying right now?
What do you mean it's a piece that comes out of Naphtha Playa?
That's the piece that would later on become, quote unquote, like Mother Hathor. You know this. That's the cattle.
The very fact, first of all, let's say Hathor, not Hathor, using a Greek name. So let's be clear. Let's be clear. See, only you can play semantics, not me, right?
No,
only you can
Jabari,
play semantics.
I don't listen, Jabari. Listen.
That's what you're doing.
But that's fine. So I'm just identifying what elements that you can take from Naphtha Playa, right? And so when we teach it, we got to get the different elements from the different faiths, right? Out of that, we'll fashion Kemet. Then you can talk about Nubia, right? Foundation different things.
But I'm not disagreeing with you.
I know.
I don't know how. But how does that end up with us disagreeing?
Because we make Kemet the all in all.
Sankofa crazy. Sankofa said, yo, we over here calling Jabari a liar, but Jabari would say it's not called lying.
The scholars agree that it's called alternative facts.
That's not
I didn't make
reality.
Kemet the all in all.
Hold on. Come on, bro. Early in your statements, I'm talking not right now in our little conversation. You made Kemet the standard of civilization. That's not what they're saying no more. It's
Well-
one of these standards, right? But not the playa is not quote unquote the foundation of Kemet.
I
It's
never
not that.
said that. I
What
never
did
said
you say?
that. You
Say it
keep
again, I wanna
saying
hear
that
it.
I said that. I did.
Relax,
I have.
relax.
Now this is like the fifth
Why
time
are
I'm
you being
telling you I didn't
why are you
say
being
that.
animated like a
I
child?
didn't
right
say
now?
that.
See, Jabari, that's the point about lying. If you are in suspicion of having committed a crime, everybody, and you're brought into an interrogation room by detectives will ask you the same questions over and over and over again because they want to see consistency. Because one thing about the truth, it will always be consistent because it's the truth. It's not something that you need to remember. It's the truth. You know how it went down. A lie, however, is very hard to remember because it's not based in truth. It's based in fiction. It's not based in fact. It's based in fantasy. So one of the reasons why detectives will ask you over and over and over and over and over and over and over again the same questions is because they want to assess how accurate one's information is, how truthful one's information is. So the fact that Jabari continually can't remember the lies or the stories he's telling means he's lying because he doesn't realize that he did say several times that Naphtha Playa is what makes Egypt the first civilization and is the foundation. He can't seem to remember that. And I can tell you why he can't remember it. Because a lie is hard to remember. A truth is easier to recall because it literally happened. It's the truth. It's hard to recall a lie. That's something that you have to rehearse. But when you're telling a lie on live TV, it makes it even harder to rehearse. Jabari, you really got to stop lying. This is bad. By the way, Shemuela pointed out a couple of moments ago that she never seen Jabari lie this much. Somebody check on him. That's because you guys don't get to always see Jabari have conversations with me. For the most part, when Jabari debates a lot of people, he's on cue and he can do what he does. And he does some underhanded things. But to the extent that he came out, that's all because of what I did. I exposed him in this conversation. Showed you who he truly is and to what extent he would go to prove that he's right, even when he acknowledges that he's wrong.
Why
Because
you
it's
so animated like a professor child?
This is the fifth
Why are
time
you
you said
animated
that,
like a child?
and
bro?
I keep saying to you,
What are you saying?
I did not say that.
Okay, I want to hear you. What are you saying about not the playa?
I said that
Thank
there.
you.
Listen, first of all, I want you to hear
No, go
that
ahead.
even with the conversation with Zion, I said very clearly that Kemet is not the first African civilization. That
Gotcha.
civilization travels up the front, starts in southern and eastern and central eastern.
Jabari, you didn't say that. I had to point that out first, that Afrocentric practitioners, Kemetic practitioners don't even hold that Naphtha Playa would be the oldest because you said it was. I jumped on in responding to you and I said, well, most Kemetic practitioners wouldn't even hold that Naphtha Playa is the oldest. They would say it started in the Great Lakes region, Central Africa. That's when you said, oh yeah, that is what they say. Why are you acting like that's what you said? You were co-signing the truth of what I was saying at that point because it helped your argument. You're pathetic.
Africa and travels upward. And I said that Kemet is the flowering of African civilization. I think that every scholar can agree that Kemet is a more organized, more opulent, more influential society than Nubia. But that's not me saying anything negative about it.
You just made that up.
No, I did not make that up.
Yeah, you did.
No, I did not.
You're Kemet-centric. Stop.
I did not.
Nobody says that, Jabari.
Are you saying that Nubia is more influential than Kemet? How can you say that?
Libya is more influential to inner Africa than Kemet is to enter Africa.
I'd like you to see. I'd like you to see that proof. I'd like for you to prove that.
All right.
We gotta go through Nubia to get
All right, let me bring on the Grandmaster Scholar, man. Brother Reggie, you got the floor, bro.
All right, thank you. So it's good that we can argue details and so we can get it right in our community. And I think that there are tenets that there are things that both of them said that are absolute.
All right, before we hear from Brother Reggie, guys, everybody on the live stream, thumb up the video, y'all. Thumb up the video. We had several people on the live stream, but I don't see the likes matching the amount of people here. If we're going to be here, guys. Oh, shit. Shit just got real. That's a moment. That's an opportunity to keep going on the live stream. God killer. What up, Unc?
What's up with you, brother? How you doing, man? What it do?
I'm doing great, my brother. I'm doing great. I want to first say this to you, Unc. We may find ourselves in at some point in this conversation disagreeing. That doesn't mean that I don't respect you as a scholar.
Right.
Nor does it mean that we can't have a respectful dialogue while disagreeing, right?
Absolutely.
With that being said, I want you to tell us first, because I know you're going to comment on what I had to say as well. But at the point that you're coming into conversation now, we're talking about Jabari. Could you tell us what frustrated you about what Jabari was saying with regard to Naphtaliah being the foundation of civilization? What did you find frustrating about that?
One, because I've never heard that before, and I know you know me, man. You know we've been dealing with each other for years, man. And
that's
I
right.
Just like to say, I just appreciate just your growth. So you're not the only person growing around here. We all grow, right? And we barely have cussing out contests. One time maybe on blog.
Right? Not me and you. Nah.
We got one time. It was one time. We bugged out.
Right.
It was that, but I'm saying
years ago.
But it was okay though, because real can deal with the real, and it's all right, and you get past that, right?
Fact.
But and so Jabari do things a little bit differently. Like, I'm not sure he can ever be wrong about anything. And it's a wild mindset for me. I don't have no dog in the fight. I don't believe in it, period. I don't believe in any gods, whether it's an Egyptian god, right? Whether it's a Hebrew god, I feel like it's all the same thing. In my head, I can't separate the two. If you want to make the Hebrews African and make the Egyptians, if you want to make the Hebrews black, make the Egyptians black and all that, I'm thinking you're doing the same thing. The Native Americans black, the way from where I'm looking at, how I'm thinking that, right? So I just like to have the intelligent conversations, right? I don't mind having a disagreement around Naphtaliah. I thought y'all had a great discussion. Right. I did. I thought it was a great discussion because discussions need to be balanced so that people can hear what we bring in, right? And it's just hard to have a good conversation with a person that don't leave himself vulnerable to critique. And I don't think Jabari won't ever do that. So I've never heard that Naphtaliah was the origin of Kemet. I never heard that. What I heard was there's certain cultural elements that come out of there. Okay. Right? But the Nile has, I think, the Afrocentric community has a temple-centric view of Egypt, meaning everything is based in the temple when the majority of people live in the outskirts. That's the truth, right? Most people don't live in the temple or near the temple, right?
Right.
And they have placed a fence, right, running from the delta all the way straight down to to the first cataract, where there's no other entry points. You starting to catch on what I'm saying? In reality, there were different entry points on the Nile with different groups of people coming into the Nile, bringing cultural nuances to the situation. It wasn't just all the culture came from the south, right, or all the culture came from the north. That's not really what the scholars are actually saying.
That's right.
They've came to an agreement of it being an African population, right? With, of course, outside influences from the areas that you're talking about, Western Asia and all that. Like, no one would say that's not real. That's reality, right? We need to put an emphasis on, how much influence was. But at this point, if you don't have some influence coming from Mesopotamia or vice versa, then you don't have a trading partner. For them kingdoms to be
Exactly.
great, they need trading partners. So Western Asian and Africans
That's
come
right.
together and form what they're calling Mediterranean culture. So Mediterranean culture is actually a mix of African and Western Asian culture, right? Because it was easy
That's a
communication
fact.
between Mesopotamia, right, or Sumer and Egypt, and that's how they got there. That's what helped them, right? The thing that
I
also
agree.
helped.
I agree.
Okay, so I'm right on course, right?
Yes.
Okay,
You haven't said anything I disagree with.
okay. So
And
so
I want to ask you this question.
go ahead.
I want to ask you this question. There might be a delay on my mic, and I'll wait for
Okay.
that. But I want to ask you this question, Ankh. What makes I want to be very clear. What makes Naphtha Playa not part of Egypt in 7500 BC? I mean, I already know from me, but we want to hear from you. Why do you not place Naphtha Playa as being part of Egypt in 7500 BC? What's wrong with that?
One Naphtha Playa is a mobile community. Egypt is a sedimentary community. They settled. There is no place called Egypt in 7500 BCE. No one ever says that, right? And there's population. I can put up the
Fact.
map, right? An archaeological survey. They've done survey in the area, and I can tell you where the populations are at 7500 BCE. But they're not called. It's not called Egypt. They have not unified the lands. It's none of that. What you have is you have a population that's in the 6th and 5th cataract. You do have that
Yes, sir.
because the desertification is not there, right? It actually stayed green. That never got caught up in the desertification. So those populations are down in that area, white and blue Nile, right? And then you have this population in Naphtha Playa, right? That has like this type of mixed population, right? Different variations of Africans in there, and their cattle culture, okay? And like I said, they're mobile, right? And they reach levels higher than those that was actually closer to the Nile, like astronomical observations, right? Which is the
Okay.
oldest such thing, okay? The oldest, in the world, thus far, right? But and so maybe later on, maybe the cattle culture they had, because they found one of the oldest buried cattle statues in that area. Okay, they got it right, and so maybe Mother Hathor is influenced by that, right? Maybe the Egyptian Mother Hathor. Maybe you see the
Right.
words I'm using.
Mercy. That's the words of a scholar, because we don't
Right.
know.
Right, we not right. We maybe right. Also,
Maybe.
you have the depictions. We know this population. These populations come out of the Green Sahara. Okay, and some people make the mistake because you know me, man. I spend money. I spend money on work, right? I've been talking about rock art for years, bro. This is not my first rodeo with rock art. This is actually a German book. Rudolf Cooper. See? Wadi Sor, right? And
Yes.
and so on this map, there's in this book, they actually let me show you how you know when people are making shit up, yo.
Take your time, Ankh. Take your time.
So actually, if you look at this book right here, look, let me show you this map, y'all. You can see it, right? Look, you see the Nile. Look, that's the Nile, right? Look at the Nile. You look all the way over here, right? And then so you could then you take this. Look, that's how we can catch them line. You take this, right? You can put it on here, and
Bobby
you can measure
Banger.
the distance, and you can measure the distance, right? So if you start saying, "Well, that right there, later on, it was a ritual to end up in Egypt," dude, that's like that couple thousand miles. What are you doing? You know what I'm saying? You doing way too much. So we got all of, and I wanted to show you this because look how many different archaeological sites, right, are not even on the Nile itself. Look what all the people are asked. Look, Western Desert people. This is the largest river on planet Earth. This is a lot of area land.
That's right.
And the way I learned it was backwards because we kind of just meshed everything together. And we forgot that there wasn't no trails, that humans had to develop trails following animals. There's a lot to go into making that all one thing. And I'm saying that was the mistake. That's the way they learned it. I think he was one of the first Hebrews that started. I think you kind of peeped the game. You was looking at with the Raw, how the Raw squad wanted to rock, and you know, like I know. listen, man. We in this game, right, to educate our people on what we feel like is the right thing, right? And so you didn't want to get left behind because at a certain point we started introducing archaeology. You know, I started talking about that pinnacle point, evolution. So now the Hebrews got to raise their game, or you're not going to be able to keep your community intact. And so you was definitely one of the first people who was like, I got to challenge these dudes, but you can't challenge us if you're not familiar with the vocabulary on what we're talking about. If you're not familiar with the anthropology, right? And so you never heard me say out my mouth that the Hebrews want a real people. I would always talk about the Iron Age, the Bronze Age settlements, right? And you know what I'm saying? I would talk about these things. You've never heard now somebody who really not studied will say, well, the Hebrews ain't real, but that's not true, right? We can actually see how their culture starts to develop. But I'm saying the point I want to make is it take people studying archaeology, right, to be able to have a conversation with some brothers that's talking archaeology. Just that, if you want to compete, right? And so he was one of the first Hebrews, right? Then Divine later on, but you was one of the first Hebrews that was talking archaeology. Okay, we're gonna talk some archaeology. We're gonna look at, we can see that. Let me bring it this way because
y'all helped me. Y'all helped us to raise our game. I'm not gonna lie. That's a fact.
Yeah,
that's a fact. Where we bump heads a bit, because I know we don't want to just agree, right? Where we bump heads a bit is how we classify what a civilization is, right? So, if you can,
let's see if we bump heads. I don't think we
if you can, I want to hear from you. What makes a civilization, right? How would you define civilization? And more importantly, Ankh, do you think that culture and civilization is the same thing? Do you think that one comes before the other?
I think culture makes up civilization. That's part of what makes a civilization is the culture. The culture is the people. You know, social cultural systems. Okay, if you look up the meaning of what religion is, it contains a lot of your funeral burial practices. So you had funeral burial practices before what Europeans would call a civilization, right? So that term is actually subjective. So that's why I say y'all arguing something subjective. So
Can I give you a little pushback on that?
That's fine. Give me a pushback.
Just a little bit. Let me give you a little pushback on that. The reason why I concede to the general idea of what the European community calls civilization is because civilization is not just culture. It's the most advanced stages of a culture, right? It's the advancements in culture. And it's several advancements in that culture that come together to give what's called civilization, right? We do know that Europeans do come together and invent terms and that suit and fit agendas. We understand that. Like the very word civilization comes from the Latin word civitas, which means city. But it's really talking about an advanced city, right? And a city that has an established rule of law where the people can govern themselves, a city that has walls where the people can protect themselves, a city that's self-sustainable, so they got some kind of agriculture, they got a way to feed themselves, they got irrigation, right? A city that has studied nature in a sense where they can see themselves in nature and nature in themselves. And that's where we begin to talk about a God concept. So when all those things come together in one particular society, that society is going to be called a civilization. Now, that doesn't mean that there weren't earlier cultures that had some of those components, because you certainly had much earlier cultures that had some of those components. But what makes a civilization is having all of those components at once. Now, some people don't hold to that standard, such as yourself, because you don't think we need to have all of those components to be a civilization. But that's what academia says a civilization is. It's all of these components coming together to be a civilization. What's your pushback on that?
I'm saying I like that, but let me come to this book right here, Africa, The Civilizations of Africa by Christopher Eric. All right. Okay. If you go to page 4, I'm not sure if you got this book, right? Civilization is civilized, right? It says any book which, like this one, includes civilization in its title must confront the highly problematic nature of the term. So this term is actually highly problematic, and I'll tell you why. He goes on to say, unfortunately, the most common application of civilization, both by historians and by the public, are fraught with value judgments. See what I'm saying? Okay. It says societies and people only too commonly are described as civilized or uncivilized, or as having civilization or lacking it. It say to speak thus is to rely on mystification in place of subjective descriptions and analysis. So it's based off of who looking at it and who's calling that, right? Now, this is why
Okay.
I'm saying this. The money early on in the game, just like in DNA studies. So the money in DNA studies, I'm gonna give you an example. The money in DNA studies is going to studying European nations. Okay, that's where all the studies are taking place first. Very little was taking place in Africa. So, like in the United States, England, France, all these places, right? Very little studies was actually taking place in Africa. Now they're starting to focus on that. But see, if you're making determinations off of DNA studies, right, that for the most part are being found in Western cultures, right? Then what about the place that has the most diversity? You would think that they would start there first based off of understanding evolution, but they didn't because it's based in money. So when it's based in money, right? You want to get a grant. Say you want to get a grant, right? You had to file the grant. You're more than likely going to get a grant, right? That would allow you to maybe study the thing that's more probable, or not probable, the thing that's more readily available and a little more cheaper to study DNA. So you could just set up shop, man, in downtown Atlanta and have a studying you easy. If you got to go to the Sahara, that's a whole different thing now, right? If you got to go to certain countries, you got to get permission from the government. It's a lot of things, extra money, right? The people might not even understand the technology, right? More paperwork need to be put out to get these DNA studies. And so they actually lag behind. Now, I say all this to say that's the same way that happened in archaeology. Remember, they started out the first archaeologists was studying where, like in the area of Ur, Chaldees, and all these areas, right? And then they brought that same cookie cutter model to Africa. So when they looked at, like, say, Ur, Chaldee, they say the cities or the villages go back 7,000 BCE, right? And that's real, okay? And because in the archaeological records, they seen these mounds. These large mounds, like biggest football fields. Now, what are these mounds? These mounds actually represent villages dying, right? And other villages being built on top of them for eons until they develop a mound. And so they understand it. And at the top of the mound represents the noun period. And at the bottom of the mound represents the oldest period. That's called the strata, right? And so they took this cookie cutter model, okay, and they went to Africa. But guess what? They didn't find these mounds. So in their mind, like, oh, they ain't there yet. Maybe near the Fayoum and places like that, right? They found some of these mounds because in those areas they did have some villages. But for the most part, they didn't find these mounds, okay? And what they had to come to realize, right? Here's a work for you. Right, here's a work for you. It say The Dawn of Everything, A History of Humanity. David Wingrove. See? Great book. That's something you'll get off and you'll start laughing. You get this, you'll be like, man, okay. And they start to realize, hold on, that these communities, I know you probably got this one too. Let me see real quick. They start, okay, this one too. That's another one. The archaeology of early Egypt, the social transformation of Northeast Africa, 10,000 to 2,650 BCE. It's another one by Wingrove. Right? So what they realized was that the way continental Africans was coming into socialization or coming into statehood or whatever you want to call it was totally different than how it had happened in Western Asia. Meaning that these communities was mobile. That mean these communities were mobile communities. Okay? Meaning why is my thing doing that? Meaning they was mobile, meaning they had summer homes. Now, if you read the Wikipedia article, right, it talks about them having summer and winter homes. So they moved the herd back and forth, right? And they didn't have the same type of watch this. In their summer homes, they had when they was fixed and chilling, right? They had a good leadership. When they moved, right, and was grazing their cattle, right, they had loose leadership. But the point was, which speaks to what we talked about civilization, they had reached a high level. They had these bins holding grains, right? They had these aqueducts holding water, okay? And they had the astronomical observations that was far higher than anything there to now. And so we got to rethink about, you know, what civilization is, or if you settle, or if you got walls, right? Does that make you this? And actually, what I had to realize, man, I had to acquiesce to, man, it could be both, yo. Both things could be true. I know I said all that, you know what I mean? But hell, Jabari would never let me get none of that shit out, yo.
and that's what's challenging sometimes about having those conversations with people that are really smart, because sometimes they tend to think that they're the only smart ones. Unfortunately, right? But brother,
I make my point though.
Yeah. Yes. I think there's a lot of credibility towards the point that you're making. Obviously, I would disagree with some things, and I want to point out what those things are. I'm, just like you are, I'm a straight shooter, so I'm gonna tell you what it is that I disagree with. I do think that there are cities in Mesopotamia, but more importantly, the Fertile Crescent, that are even older than Sumer. Sumer is regarded as the first civilization in academia right now. So I don't think that you would disagree with that. I think you would probably disagree that that's the case, but I don't think that you would disagree that most scholars are saying that. Because if we go on these websites right now, we go through updated scholarship, they still calling Sumer an older civilization than Kemet. Whether or not that's accurate, we could debate that. But to act as if the updated scholarship is not still saying that Sumer is older, I think that would be a lie. All right. So I want to put this in front of you. When we talk about Sumer being the first civilization, again, that does not mean that there are not earlier cultures that contributed towards making Sumer either the first civilization or one of the first civilizations. For instance, I want to bring you back to Palestine, Ankh, because I believe I could show you live right now. Like, I'm literally going to share my screen in a couple seconds. I could show you live right now that there are several cities in Palestine that are thousands of years older than those in Sumer. And I can show you what are those components that help to make Sumer the first civilization in scholars' eyes, and how many of those components were founded in Palestine by the Natufian group. So what's important about what I'm saying is the Natufians are an African people. Remember, they leave from up out of Africa. So my theory is not discounting or leaving Africa out the equation. Remember, I'm the Hebrew that say we are Africans, Ankh. You know that about me, right? So we're not taking Africa out the equation. Me saying that Sumer is the first civilization, for me, doesn't take Africa out the equation, because in my research, I believe that that's an African-built civilization, right? So, and I think you know that pretty much about me, although I also know a lot of Hebrews don't say that. But remember, I'm not a lot of Hebrews, I'm Zion.
I'm the first one to say that, though, but go ahead.
Fact.
Remember?
Fact. Right? So I want to share my screen, if you don't mind, because this is what I was going to show Jabari. All right? So walk with me for a second.
Why y'all conversation broke down, though, right?
Tell me before we go there.
Because you was talking about the Natufians, and this is what I said on the show. You did say the Natufians was a civilization, but I understood the discourse. You actually misspoke on that. I can tell with the way you said it. I felt like you misspoke on that, right? And, but you can't. You said you called him a liar. Yeah, I mean, so because in your mind you wanted to say a culture, because you was trying to segue from culture to I understood. See what I'm saying? So when
I was a mistake, and that was wrong.
Yeah, I was wrong. Right? You like, no, but you did say it. But
that was wrong of me. I called him a liar.
Right.
Yeah, that was wrong.
But I know why you.
I can say that.
Liar. I know why you called him a liar, because you didn't.
But later on, when I called him a liar, I was right about those other times. Because he was lying. I'm like you in many ways, brother. In many ways. One thing about us, we're going to be straight shooters.
We're going to be straight
right?
shooters, yo. Right or wrong.
We straight shooters, man. But I'm going to be a man, and as I said on the live stream, I was wrong about that. You know what I mean? I did man up and own up to that. Because when I heard it back myself, I said, damn, I did say it. But I appreciated, as I said on my live earlier, that you caught that, hey, you know, what if Zion said that, you know, in error? That happens.
I know you did.
So I appreciate that you said that. Yeah. Because
you
my
was
whole
saying,
presentation was showing that it's a culture.
Right.
So yeah.
But see, I know I can make
It was an error.
Yeah, we all I mean,
We
that's what
all
do
make
as
mistakes.
Right. That shouldn't be an
Right.
issue to try to win and get you with it. I should be honest. Yeah,
That's
you said
right.
it, but I don't think you meant it. Because that's the spirit of the conversation. I think when me and you can get up here and have this type of discord, I think the community grows. I feel like if me, you, and Jabari can have a discourse, I think it grows. If I'm not trying to be the champion or this killer
Right.
super priest, right?
Right.
We should be able to have this. But go ahead and share your screen. Let me sit back.
All right. Check this out. You guys should be able to see the screen in a couple of moments. I wanted to present this with Jabari, but I'm having the pleasure of presenting this with Brother Ankh, Bobby Banger, as we say. Let me make sure that everybody can see that. Get that going a little. I'm gonna take you all the way to the beginning of my PowerPoint, because I only showed parts of my PowerPoint with Jabari that was pertinent to our discussion. But I'll take it back from the beginning just a little bit, all right? And I'll start here. The oldest civilizations by scholarly consensus. There's a reason why I said that, because I wanted to state the obvious. It can be true that people disagree that Sumer is older, and people do disagree. There are white people that disagree, and there are far more black people that disagree. But to act as if the scholarly consensus still doesn't say that Sumer is the oldest, I find that very disingenuous, because the scholarly consensus does still say that Sumer is the oldest. So that's why I began there. Now I'm gonna move on to this. When scholars in academia talk about Kemet as a civilization, they start in 3100 BC with the unification. The pushback on that from our Afrocentric community, from us as black people, is, well, they're just looking at Kemet when Narmer unites Kemet. And so if we look a little further back, we can actually see that they have a civilization further back. The furthest back that we can look, Brother Ankh, that we're aware of is King Scorpion, the Kustal incense burner, which gives us signs of early pharaonic shit, right? But that's still Ankh within 4000 BC. That's still within 4000 BC, which is still within the realm of speaking within the confines of the Nakata cultures, right? Which I just want to make something clear. That's still within the confines of where scholars still place Sumer. So if we're saying that Egypt is older, we're going to have to go a little further back than that too. So that's why you really can't say Egypt is a civilization, is still within that range. You got to go further back. And for me, the problem with going further back than that is you don't see any signs of a king before the Nakata cultures 1, 2, and 3. Even when we look at the Kustal incense burner, even when we look at King Scorpion's tomb, before that, we don't see signs of a king. We do see signs where people are beginning to instill a sedentary lifestyle, but then they get up and move again. Even as you said, they were mobile communities. They didn't stay in one place. They kept it moving, right?
Yeah.
So watch this. Any credible website and scholar that speaks of Nakata culture, if I'm saying anything wrong, feel free to stop me. Nakata culture is dated between 4000 and 3500 BCE. The Badarian culture provides the earliest direct evidence of agriculture in Upper Egypt, right? We're still in Egypt now. In Upper Egypt, which we know is that bottom half of Egypt when we look at a map, according to scholars, that's the earliest part of Egypt where we begin to see agriculture. That's between 5000 and 4000 BCE. I have sources to validate that timeline, by the way. In 6000 BC, we see the oldest Egyptian cities, which is in the Fayum culture, right? The Fayum culture is considered by scholars as having one of the oldest cities in Egypt. Then we go to Nabta Playa, which on the old maps is part of Nubia, even as you mentioned, and Jabari tried to act like that wasn't the case. Nabta Playa does have the cattle culture. Nabta Playa can show that people were beginning to harvest various fruits and some agriculture. You do see a bit of that. But what makes Nabta Playa famous, what they're infamously known for, is their calendar circle, right? What's believed to be a stone alignment, which would show their great understanding of a connection between our ancestors knowing science. That's something that you always push. And our ancestors knowing the connection that we have to the cosmos above us. Right. So that's something that we can't skip over. However, if I could stay here, no, I don't, you know what? I don't want to stay here because I want to get to what I want to show you, but I'm going to give pushback on why I think that's subjective, because I think that there's subjectiveness there, but I want to show you first Jericho and some of the oldest cities in Palestine.
Freeze right there. Go back to that slide, the one you just had on real quick. Yeah, no, one more. So the Fayum, you know, they don't really got a lot of archaeology right there because of they just don't got it. So you're gonna be hard.
No, there's not a lot of archaeology in the Fayum, but we do have archaeology.
Mm-hmm. So that's kind of like in the Delta, am I correct? In that area, that's kind of where you find those first.
Yes, the Fayum culture is in the Delta.
Right, and so you're gonna find, you're gonna find some people from Western Asia there. I just want to highlight that. I'm going to show you where those Western Asian people sell at. That's why you're gonna find what you're talking about. But keep going. I'm right there with you. So we rolling. We rolling. That
you know that kind of plays into what I wanted to say to Jabari, just so you know, because what I wanted to say to Jabari in the actual debate is the oldest cities that we see in Egypt date to 6000 BCE, and it's in the Fayum Oasis, the Fayum culture. That's where there's a heavy, dense population of Asiatics, which would be problematic for Jabari, because according to scholars, the oldest cities in Egypt are where Asiatics dwelt. So then the theory would be that they built those cities and not the people of Kemet. It's in the Delta, where we know historically Asiatics lived and dwelt. So that's why I was saying this PowerPoint and my presentation was going to be hell for Jabari to go through, which is why I think that he stalled going through much of it. But I just want to go through some more because I want to get to Palestine. All right. I'm going to skip past Sumer. We could come back.
Yeah,
I want to get to Palestine and show you some stuff that I didn't get to talk about yet.
Okay, go ahead.
It's the first time. Yeah, this is going to be the first time I'm showing anybody what I'm about to show you. And just to show you that I was going to talk about Fayum in detail, you see me setting it up in my PowerPoint, because what I'm about to set up is to show how this is connected to Asiatics. But we're not going to do that now.
So I'm not.
The world's oldest city is Palestine. That dates. Okay. I respect that. The world's oldest city is Palestine. This is from a book called Basic Facts on the Palestinian Issue by Professor Dr. Mohsin Mohammed Saleh. This is on page 8. It says, this is a quote, "The world's oldest city is Palestine, dating back to 9,000 and 8,000 BCE. I'm going to show the next slide now. Jericho, oldest city in the world. This is a monument in Jericho, right? Just capturing in stone, its sea level. But when you go through Jericho as an ancient city, you see that the stone walls that are built around Jericho are found as early as 8,000 BCE. Why is that especially interesting? Because when we talk about the hallmarks of civilization, one of them is a rule of law, a people setting up and having a rule of law, a system of governing themselves. The fact that, just as the Bible relates, that the walls of Jericho were built extremely high as fortified walls, we see that in 8,000 BCE, that the city of Jericho in Palestine had fortified walls, which means they had a rule of law. They had a defense system. In the eyes of scholars, this is one of the greatest hallmarks of civilization, a people having a rule of law. It also shows that they were a sedentary society, because if you're building a walled city, that means you clearly are staying in that city and dwelling in there, furthering the notion of being a city, a developed society, and an innovative culture. I'm going to keep going. I'm not sure how far I'm going to go because I want to debate Jabari on this, but I'm going to go a little bit more. In the book called Technology, A Study of Mechanical Arts and Applied Sciences by Andreas Sofronou, it says the oldest walled city in the world dates to 8,000 BCE, and that's Jericho. That's said on page 8. I was going to go into 50 slides here, which means there's about 30 more that I could go into. I really want to have that conversation with Jabari, but I'm gonna stop for a moment just to say this to you, and then allow you to jump back in. When we go through the fact that the Natufians, and they're the ones that innovate agriculture in the Levant. They're the ones that begin to innovate the building of cities in the Levant. They're the ones that begin to innovate the rule of law in the Levant. They're the ones that begin to impress upon the Levant the idea of God. They travel up along the Fertile Crescent and make their way to Sumer, where all these things come together and make Sumer what scholars call the oldest civilization. But the point is, these things were first innovated in Palestine. So for me as a Hebrew, that would be my connection, and that would be my agenda, to show that what helps to make Sumer the oldest civilization are the innovations by the Natufians that occur in Palestine. What is your pushback on that?
Like if you look at the Natufians, they ain't the first conversation was like that, like the Natufians was kind of like African, but when you look at it, they had like a, look at their genetics, man. You know what I'm saying? You're looking at regional mixes, kind of, you know what I mean? It's like they mix, okay, the Natufians. Another thing, I think for me, I ain't tripping, right? Because I understand that human beings, for instance, if you're talking about the ore in the areas you talked about, right? It take them about 7,000 years to come into kingship. You talked about kings, right? It take them 7,000 years to get there. But if you look in the valley, it takes them about maybe 800 years to get there. It took them 800 years. So one takes 7,000 years to get there at the kings, right? And one just take 800. So like, that's why I said it's very subjective, right? So for me, if you have a mobile community, they have rules and regulations, all the things you're talking about, right? And you know, they reach a level of science that nobody on the planet had reached yet. So that's important. Also, if you look at the Sahara, they have what you call in grinding stones. So for me, farming actually represents failure, meaning failure for crops to grow naturally. But if you're in the Sahara, right, these regions, right, these crops grew naturally. And so technology need to be grinding stones and microliths. The microliths actually these things, they probably can go back 15, 20,000 years ago, and you're cutting down, you're harvesting the wild grains, and you're grinding stones, you're breaking it down. So you're doing the same thing. So we just been taught about you got to grow it, you got to grow it, you got to grow it. No, that's no. So they got grains that they harvesting because they're growing naturally, right? The crops aren't failing. Okay. Two, they can hold large populations based off of that. That's what we talk about Afro-Asiatic and how it comes from the foothills of Ethiopia. They bring these grains with them, right? Harvested. They're not farming, right? And even when you talk about Fayum in that area, right? You got Africans there too. So they come into an area where they get absorbed into the population of Africans is already there in the Fayum, right? And yes, they do bring a grain with them from Western Asia. That's undeniable. But the packaging of it is African. The way they do it, the way they farm it is African, and it's not the same way it's done in Western Asia. The way they farm is different. So I think that's another part to talk about. Now, I'm not going to speak on the Palestinian thing, right? Because I'm not familiar with it. And I would never argue through my ignorance on the subject matter. You know, we got to learn this, right? Let me take my time. Let me go back and look at it, right? So, because we could talk about Jabal Tepe, right? You can go back to 8,000 years ago, right?
Okay.
Where they got these temples, the oldest temples, right? So, I'm thinking at this point, the way people choose to leave, the way people choose to live organized, right, is based off of people, their subjective view of how they think civilized is and civilization is. When I would argue that those people that not the playa, those people that in the Sahara with the grinding stones and the harpoons, they go back 20, 25,000 years, right? That they chose to move around. The Native American population, man, they was moving. You had to move for the winter, move with the buffalo, right? They was highly civilized, right? You know that a part of, I think it's the Constitution comes out of one of those tribes. So I just think, man, being just the Eurocentric thought process was, well, since we found civilization and we the first to deem things civilized and civilizations, man, they had the cookie cutting model. And I'm just here to tell you that I'm not arguing over who older or not, but I'm just saying that you can be civilized in different manners. So the Palestine city thing, I don't know in that yet, right? I'm familiar with Jabal Tepe, right? And I'm familiar with Sumer, and like Ur is older than Sumer. The city, you call it city, I would say it's a damn village. I would argue you deaf on that, right? That's older than Sumer, but
right.
yeah, I'm just saying. But in Africa, man, you
Right.
you do have things going back to. Well, let's deal with weather. I think that's key. We can never leave out weather, bro. So we're talking about after-glacial periods, okay, where these ice sheets start to melt, and the water, the water during ice ages, the water is sucked up in the ice, right? And so land is exposed. So you got people living in the Persian Gulf. It's not flooded out yet, right? Beaches and stuff are exposed. When these ice sheets melt, then these populations move out. So after the ice age, right, that melted and put together the Great Lakes in Michigan, okay, Niagara Falls, right? Also those Great Lakes that you find in Africa, Lake Victoria and all that. These is fresh water coming from the ice caps. Persian Gulf is flooded out, right? So your flood stories come from those earlier peoples, right? And so there's a period where you just couldn't be settled because of the droughts and all that based off the ice age. And you'll find that most civilizations occur after these ice ages. And it's very consistent, consistent across the planet. I just like to say that.
That's right.
So the first, second, third, I ain't tripping. If you're a Hebrew, you're gonna be Hebrew
All right.
centric.
I want to speak towards a point that you made. That's a fact. That's a fact. You made a really good point that I want to add something to, right? And feel very free to disagree, agree, whatever we want to do, right? You said that in Africa, the system of agriculture and farming is different than that in the Levant and Western Asia, right? Which is interesting for more than one reason. The land itself is growing and is maturing, I want to say, and flourishing, and is more rich in many respects in comparison to Western Asia. This is why you see in the Bible's narrative and even in history, several times Western Asiatics come into Kemet in need of food because there's famine there, right? Because the crops in Kemet, which is well watered and irrigated by the Nile, you guys are not experiencing the issues that we're experiencing in the Levant and in Western Asia, all in Mesopotamia. So watch where I'm going with this, Ankh, because you're a person that listens. So just give me your ear for a second. Why would the innovation of irrigation be created by the people of Kemet? Listen to the point I'm making. Why would the sophisticated skill set of irrigation be built by people from Kemet? They didn't need that. They got the Nile River. What they did at times was they channeled the Nile River into areas that were dry, right? They would build like little small canals, but for the most part, they didn't need the innovation of needing to be sophisticated builders of dikes, dams, and irrigation, because the Nile River, the Itaru, was highly irrigating all surrounding lands. It's the people in Mesopotamia that needed to innovate and invent those things because they didn't have well irrigated lands. They were always facing famine, even as you know. So it's more plausible that they're the ones that would have innovated irrigation because they're the ones that have that problem, not Kemet. Now, to the point of agriculture, it's the same thing. The point that you made speaks to what I'm going to say right now. Just listen to the point. When you're in Egypt, when you're in the heartland of Africa and you're looking at crops, these are things that are not hard to come up out the ground. Mesopotamia is having these issues. Mesopotamia is having more of an issue of yielding from the ground. In Africa, that's not to say that brothers didn't farm, but just as you said, the land was more rich and abounding, and they didn't have to farm in the way and method that they did in Mesopotamia. So, Ankh, this is why it's plausible that the greater innovations for agriculture was also in the Levant and Western Asia, because it was there that they faced more droughts. It was there that they faced more famines. It was there that created a challenge and a need for them to have sophisticated systems of agriculture. Africa didn't need sophisticated systems of agriculture because they didn't have that problem being the breadbasket of the world. Western Asia had that problem, so they had to develop highly sophisticated techniques in order to get that from the ground, in order to yield crop and harvest and cultivate land. That's why those innovations are credited in modern academia to these people because all of the conditions and the criteria meet that they would have been the perfect ones to have innovated it because they were in dire need of it. It was not in need of that in Africa. What's your pushback on that point?
I don't got no pushback. Like, why would you create something you didn't need to do it? Why would you farm something if you got the plants growing already? You have to be innovative in another direction. You had to develop a tool that would actually cut down the wild grains, and they did it. It's called microliths. Then you got to develop a tool to grind. It's called grinding stones. 25,000 years ago. So I'm not pushing back. I studied too hard to have to push back on some common sense thing. You wouldn't have to do it. Why are you farming when the stuff is growing already?
Fact.
Doesn't make sense. Farming is the
Fact.
hardest thing you can do. That's
Fact.
the hardest thing you can do. Why would you break your back?
See, one of the things I'm always respect about you, brother, is you're an honest scholar. We're not here to agree with each other. We just here to compare notes and see what the truth is. If I gotta be wrong, I gotta be wrong. If you gotta be wrong, you gotta be wrong. You see, that's the thing. I want everybody to notice something as we bringing this to a close. And I want to have Ankh again on this week or the next time Ankh is free. But we coming to a close. When you have two people that just want the truth and they not too full of themselves, you can have a conversation. Notice that there's no shade here for Ankh. Ankh don't got no shade for me. We throw shots at each other sometimes when we get in certain environments. But for me and him, it's never been serious because we respect that we really do see that both of us believe what we believe. We don't have to share those beliefs. But my thing is, when I see a person stand on a square and they conform as what they're standing for doesn't come in the way of what I'm standing for. We don't got an issue. So me and a person like Ankh, we build greatly on my platform or any other platform because of the nature and the direction of where we going with this. I believe we both want to see black people liberated, not just in body, but our knowledge of the world. And Ankh is very pro-science, our knowledge of nature, because he understands that our people, more than any other people in the world, have lost a connection with what our ancestors gave to this world, which is the knowledge of these sciences. So I always appreciated that you brought that to the table, Ankh. So only because it's late, Ankh, and I've been going for 3 hours, I want you to close the show with anything that you want to say. It's on you, good brother. Okay. All right. So in closing, man, first of all, shout out to the community of skeptics, man. Y'all can like and subscribe, man. And also shout out to the pseudo killers, man. You know, that's what we doing. Just building strong communities. Where can we find you, Ankh? Make sure you get that in. Yeah, you can find me at the community of skeptics and the pseudo killers. Okay. And so you heard me? Did you hear me? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. All right. And so right here. So I'll end with this. So when we studying our history and the evolution of culture and human beings, we should always look to anthropology. Anthropology won't let you cheat. Contained in anthropology, got archaeology, genetics, all the sciences that help you understand culture. And this is how we study to get to that. So I don't have to. I've already cross-referenced and referenced, and I understand how human beings ebb and flow and survive. And I'm not fighting for the farming, right? The people who not really studying are going to fight for that. What first, second, and third? That's not that. I don't need that. I just want to understand people and our people and how we diversified and how we survived in different environments, coming up with different innovations. So if you don't need to farm, why do it? It doesn't make sense. I'm not purposely killing all the crops just to farm the crops. If I can pick an apple because the apple groves are already growing, I'm gonna do it. So I understand. Right? We just never get to have these conversations. But I'll close in this. Anthropology, scientific literacy is a vaccine against the charlatans in our community. You can literally understand anthropology and see who cheating on either side. You cheating over there with the Hebrews or you cheating over there with the Egyptian side. I have no dog in the fight. I understand and study humanity. I understand culture. I study world religions around the world. I study indigenous cultures and how they came to be and how they ebb and flowed. So for me, I don't have a dog in the fight. I just like good conversation, man. And I like the people to understand the conversation by not beating up each other because you got a point. I don't agree, whatever. If I don't know something, like I said, man, I haven't studied that yet. I'll get back to you. Appreciate this high-level conversation. This is a high-level conversation. When two combatants can actually have a discourse, right?
and not worrying about winning or losing, just the truth, yo, I think it's an excellent move going forward for us, brother. And I appreciate you.
That part. That's a fact. I appreciate you too. Ankh, you got an open invite anytime you want, brother. I would love to see you back on the show on similar topics or even all together different topics. You talk about science literacy, brother Ankh. If there's a need for the Hebrew community to know about more about science, I would love to see you come on this platform and give a demonstration.
All right.
All right. So thank you, brother. We're going to close out now. All right. Take care. All right. Peace. All right, family. That was a one hell of a dialogue. I wish we would have had that from the beginning. I wish I could have had that with Jabari. Every time I debated Jabari, I always approached the debate with the same energy that I had with Ankh. What typically happens is Jabari changes the temperature in the room by wanting to remind everyone who he is and how no one is on his level be met with pushback. Because ain't no black man better than another black man. We are our ancestors and we are all great. Ain't no chief over everybody. We all great. I'm going to say that right now. We all great. Before I knew I was an Israelite, I knew I was a black man. I don't care who don't like that either. Before I knew I was an Israelite, I knew I was a black man. And I also knew that we are our ancestors. I would never let no man come in from me and act like they better than me, when I know that we are the full representatives of our ancestors. So the moment that a person comes before me and acts like that, I can't really rock with you, and that's definitely going to change the temperature in the room. But brother Ankh, he holds to decorum. Don't mean that brother Ankh won't take some shots and say things. We all do those things. But the thing as men is, so long as you don't initiate no weird energy, I ain't going to initiate no weird energy. And then the dialogue is going to be powerful, impactful, and great. I hope you guys enjoyed this live stream. I hope you guys support this platform. Guys, I'm saying this to everybody on the live stream. If y'all enjoyed this live stream and everything that it came from, hit that donate button. I hate to sound like Sarnetta, but I ain't got a donation all night. Hit that donating button, guys. It doesn't matter what you send. You can send it to Cash App, which is $Zion Lexx with 2 X's. PayPal at zionlex@gmail.com. Make sure you go to my website, which is patreon.com/learn Torah. See all of the amazing classes that we have. And we do have some amazing classes. We have a class tomorrow night that's going to be powerful. You're going to see me throw up a flyer for it. I'm also going to do a live stream early tomorrow afternoon. I'm going to reach out to brother Reggie and ask him to join me on that live stream. Because when I critique people, I'd rather that they be there. And Ankh was man enough to see that I was critiquing some of the things that he said and talking about some of the things that he said. And he joined the live and we had an amazing bill. Shout out to Ankh, right? Shout out to Ankh, Bobby Banger. There's only one Bobby Banger, as Black Rose said. There's only one Bobby Banger. Shout out to him. With that being said, man, you guys have fun. We're going to do what we do. I'm going to head out. Peace.
All right. It's your brother Zion Lexx. Sign up for our online academy, which is Learn Torah Hebrew Academy at patreon.com/Learn Torah. There are several classes that we offer. We offer a Biblical Hebrew 101 class for beginners. We have a Biblical Hebrew 102 class for people who are a little bit more advanced. We also have a weekly Torah class. We also have our Patriarchs of the Covenant course, our Matriarchs of the Covenant course, and a bi-weekly rabbinical course. All of these courses can be found on Patreon. Again, that's patreon.com/Learn Torah. You guys were definitely in for it. It's a very invasive class. All of our classes are deeply invasive and very, very meticulous to the T when it comes to understanding the culture, the heritage, and the history of our ancient ancestors. So sign up for Biblical Hebrew at patreon.com/Learn Torah. I am your brother, Zion Lexx.
Allow me to use this time as we segue in and closing out to shout out Asantiwa. I see you, Daughters of Zion. I see you. Thank you for your donation. Shamel, you, thank you for your donation. Greatly appreciated. Tony Apsu says, Zion Lexx TV avatar, a face from the Natufians. This is the face of Göbekli Tepe. Shout out to you, Tony Apsu. Much love. Much love. Everybody in the building, I see you. Ice Cold, I see you. I see you, my brother. Got to get you back in classes. Moray, got to get you back. Misty, when you join our classes, Misty, make sure you bring your husband. Come through, Misty. Make sure you join these classes. All right? Shout out to my brother Sankofa. Sankofa, we got to have a live, man. Set it up. We got to have a live, man. By the way, if there's anybody that's interested in joining my live stream and having a live discussion with me, you can email me at zionlex@gmail.com. We'll further that correspondence, exchange numbers, get on the phone, and talk about topics. And I would love to have some people join on and have some discussions with me. I definitely want to take this platform to greater heights moving into 2024 to be able to have some very powerful and much needed dialogues in the community. All right. With that being said, guys, I'm going to say peace and love to everybody in the building as we sign off with some words from our sponsor.
I want to say this. We have to support each other. We have to support Black businesses. I must say, when it comes to biblical Hebrew and you want to study it, my brother Zion Lexx has classes. He doesn't only teach biblical Hebrew, he teaches Medu-Neter. Please, you want to learn? Absolutely. Go to him. Let him teach you what he has mastered. It's beautiful to watch him display it.
By the way, to whoever wrote those Hebrew writings, was smarter than anybody we have ever met in our life.
Why you say that?
Because when I'm studying the writing, and they have what's called, they have idioms. They have idioms, family. They have metaphors. They have epithets. Epithets is like, say, El is the God. So you'd have El Elyon. El Elyon would be probably, no, that's not a good example. But just different names of that same God would be an epithet of that God. They have epithets. They have idioms. Who does that if you're not intelligent? I know that, but I'm just saying they had some sort of numerology in there. When you see Zion going into the whole gematria stuff, that's later on, but they did have some sort of gematria in numeric, alphanumeric thing going. I'm saying this to everybody who is in Kemet. We know how great Kemet is, but whoever wrote the text, whoever wrote that Bible is smart as a mother effer.
What Hebrew Israelite you think is the best though?
The best?
Daniel, Allah?
I think Captain, as far as a debate, is the epitome in the One West community.
I agree. I think
Zion is a very good debater. If he wants to do the whole Sumer thing or whatever, we could chop it up after the book. I mean, it's up to him.
Now, as far as the true scholarship, I got to go with Zion Lexx on that.
I don't know about true scholarship, but hey, you know.
I'm talking about as far as Hebrew Israelites. I'm going with Zion with their scholarship.
I would go with Divine.
If I was to say Hebrew against Hebrew, I would have to go with Zion Lexx.
Well, I'll go with Divine. I think Divine is more thorough. As far as a debater, Zion is the best. Zion and Captain is the best, no doubt.
Okay.
No doubt in my mind. That boy Zion, oh man, he gonna chop this video up, by the way, too. He gonna chop it up, put it on his timeline. You see what Garfield said? When it comes to that debating from the Hebrews, ain't nobody better than Zion and Captain. I'm just gonna say that.
If you want to have a better view on how the Bible looks at women in its proper context, then you should get these two books. Matriarchs of the Covenant, written by Abdil Ben-Levi, popularly known as Zion Lexx. This is a masterpiece.